Printing out some more right now.
To order, it's the Tuesday, February 6th, full meeting of the Holyoke City Council. Welcome, friends. There's no one on Zoom, right? Nice, love that.
No one on Zoom?
So the clerk will call the roll.
Anderson Burgos,
Here.
Bartley,
Here.
Devine, Givner,
Here.
Rainey,
Here.
Jourdain,
Here.
McGrath Smith,
Here.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Here.
Ocasio,
Here.
Israel Rivera,
Here.
Jenny Rivera,
Here.
Sullivan,
Here.
Bacon.
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless America. God bless the city of Holyoke.
And God bless the City Council.
Awesome. Before we get started this evening, I would really like to take a moment to actually hold a moment of silence. Someone in our community who's very important to a lot of people in this community, Mr. Rafael Fernandez, passed away this week after a very courageous battle with cancer, and we just want to recognize his contributions. He opened the Fernandez Family Restaurant with his wife and family in 1988, and he retired in 2013 and left an incredible legacy in our city. And so we're all just keeping his family and friends in our thoughts. So if we could, just a moment of silence, please. Yeah, Council.
Madam President, if we
Yes.
could also remember Sailor Merle Hillman too,
Sure.
our Pearl Harbor
Yes.
victim who was killed on the USS California finally from 1941, now brought home to Holyoke and laid to rest. If we could also remember him and Raphael, two wonderful men.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Devine?
Motion to bring Irma Cruz in for a proclamation.
Second.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Irma,
Hey, Irma,
come on up.
congratulations. All the best to you.
She looks so relaxed.
Come on up.
Nice lady. Yeah, it's good people. Anyway, she must have
So Patty, I'm going to let you say,
been up
do you
there a
wanna,
long time.
I'll let you start.
Okay, and then you're gonna read that? Yeah, okay. Hold it. Okay, it's an honor for me to be here to not only congratulate Irma on her retirement, but also to have a proclamation given to her for all the years of service that she's done. And I'd like the people, not only here in the chambers, but at home listening to this, that when you see, and I don't mean the movie, The Color Purple, think of Irma, because that is her favorite color. And the other thing, too, is when you see Betty Boop, that is her favorite cartoon character. So those two things, if you see them over the years, if you could remember this woman here who is just a tremendous person and friend.
Irma, on behalf of the entire Holyoke City Council, we would like to present you with this proclamation recognizing your service to the city of Holyoke with dedication for over 30 years. So I want to thank you on behalf of everyone here. I met you when I was 22, and you were very helpful for someone who didn't really know what was going on. And that's just the type of person that you are. So we're all going to miss you. I'm sure your staff feels the same way. So with that, we thank you, present you with this, and congratulate you on your retirement.
Thank you. Thank you for the proclamation. I had to write it because I'm not good at talking. First of all, it's been an honor to work for the city of Holyoke for 30 plus years. I first started at 17 working at the retirement board, where I worked there for a little over 4 years. Then I worked at the license board for 1 year, and in 1993, I was hired by Susan Egan to work at the city clerk's office and have been there for 30 years. It was a pleasure working for Susan. She was a great boss, best boss I've ever had, someone who knew everything from the top of her head. But it's time to enjoy my retirement. I want to give a special thank you to my coworkers, Kelly, Jasmine, Carmen, Yesenia, and Polo. They are more than coworkers, they became my friends, and of course, we'll miss you all. And to Brenna, thank you for giving me the chance to be your assistant. It was quite a learning experience. Thank you for being the best boss ever and my friend. I also want to thank my family for supporting my decision. It's been an honor again working for the city council. It has been quite an experience. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Irma. Congratulations again. All right. So, on the agenda, first up is public comment. I check if we. So we do have one individual signed up for public comment, Helene Florio, 31 Wellesley Road. You know the drill. It's 90 seconds, and I'll give you a heads up when we're at 1 minute. Does that sound good? There we go.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm definitely on the shorter side. As you just heard, Helene Florio, 31 Wellesley Road. Please pardon the mask, but I've just had pneumonia. I'm here again to remind you of the promises that were made last spring at the time the CPA vote was taken here in Chambers. And you voted to approve putting the question on the ballot as to whether or not you wanted to reduce the amount of the tax from 1.5% to 1%. The mayor vetoed it, which turned out to be his right to do, but at the same time promised that it would come back and be on the ballot this year. It's in front of you tonight. Please stand behind it, and please vote to put it on the ballot. And thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Online we have Spencer Fox Peterson.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Good evening. Spencer Fox Peterson, 51 Portland Street. Just calling in to talk about my usual topics, and just wanted to share with the community that we need to do more for our houseless neighbors to get them the housing they need and not criminalize that. I was very disheartened with the sweeps over the winter. It's really not a solution. It's a Band-Aid. So I hope for this council, this session can maybe work towards a solution there that doesn't involve police, guns, badges, and cages. These people who are unhoused are our neighbors, and that's what, you know, the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ would want. He is invoked at the beginning of every council meeting, so I would urge the council to act like Jesus. I would also like to note that I'm really disappointed to see 45 minutes of debate over chair seating. And just a heads up, this council was made a laughing stock on the local internet. It's really disappointing to see childish bickering over seating. So I suggest those who think they get their respect through their seating, maybe really rethink their values and what respect means. So that's the outsider looking in. And this is more for the community to hear than it is the government, because I have come to the conclusion it falls on deaf ears. But thank you very much for your time, and take care, everybody.
Thank you. All right, not seeing any other individuals signed up for public comment. We can go into communications. Item number 1. Yep. Oh, thank you. Sorry. I was going to get to that. Thank you, Jeffrey. Jeffrey and I did get a couple calls. This is just some housekeeping. Calls and emails, just reminding counselors to please speak directly into your microphone. If you don't, the public at home can't hear you, even if it seems like you might be heard here. At home, they can't hear you. So if you're sitting back or your microphone's not pointed at you, they might not hear you. So just be mindful of that. Thank you. And with that, I will, item 1 is from Mayor Joshua Garcia, letter appointing Kayla Rodriguez of 14 Laurel Street to serve as a member of the Valley Opportunity Council. Ms. Rodriguez will replace Jackie Watson and will serve a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2027.
Motion to receive and send to public service.
Public service, motion to receive and send to public service. There's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved.
Motion to take up item 2.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
From Mayor Joshua Garcia, a letter reappointing Mr. George Meddy of 7 Hemlock Drive in Holyoke to serve as a member of the Library Board of Directors. He will serve a 2-year term expiring in February 2024.
Is that correct, that date?
No. Just a,
Great question. Councilor Bartley?
I think there's a motion to amend, so he's going to serve till 26.
Second.
The letter says, yep, 26.
I think we had an email on it.
It's just, yeah,
It's
it's a
just a
typo. So the
typo.
letter says that there's a motion to make an amendment, and there's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
And that just, my motion is just to suspend the rules and take final action on his appointment, and just for, I could get a second.
Second.
Okay. Just, this is commonly what we do, but I always said this, Madam President, if any counselor wants to have questions for any applicant, I'll always withdraw that motion. So unless somebody has a question, but Mr. Meddy's been on the board for a while, he served on it, but
Any discussion? Councilor Jordan?
I just had one procedural question. I'm a big fan of George. He's a wonderful person. I did want to ask, though, I don't know if the clerk looked into this or not, but George is also on the Fire Commission. So can you be on both the Fire Commission and on the Library Board of Directors simultaneously? Oh, I was under the, I don't think it's a 2 salary issue. I was wondering if you, does the charter allow you to be on 2 simultaneously?
Councilor Devine?
This is a reappointment, and he's been a fire commissioner as well for a while. So obviously, I don't think there's a problem with that.
Well, I'm going to use my old analogy. If you rob a bank and you don't get caught, you know, is bank robbery legal? You know, I mean, it's the question is rules are rules, and I never noticed it before. I think we can,
Send a copy to legal?
Or not, or just to the clerk, maybe she could look into it, that we approve it, subject to it being, that it's okay by either legal and the clerk, that's all. But I mean, I just would want to make sure that you can do that. Because I was under the impression that we've had some other ones where we didn't allow, as I recall, being on two simultaneous boards, but I could be wrong. Maybe
Counselor Bartley?
the library.
I have no doubt that George will do the honorable thing if it's determined that he can't serve on both boards. So I see no reason why we just can't reappoint now. If Brennan comes up with something, a rationale that says he can't, he'll resign immediately. So I'm just going to stand by my motion.
On the motion.
On the motion.
Yeah, to reappoint them.
Okay.
Just pointing it out, that's all. Just look
Absolutely.
into it. All for George. He's a wonderful guy. We're lucky to have him.
For sure. Okay, so on the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Motion to take up item 3.
There's a second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. These are the, from City Clerk McGee and our Administrative Assistant Jeffrey Anderson Burgos, the minutes from the January 2022
Motion receive.
and
approve.
approve. Is there any discussion or corrections? We all set? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Item number 4.
Take up item 4.
There's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
From Mayor Joshua Garcia, a letter reappointing Miss Mary Moriarty of 429 Homestead Ave, Holyoke, to serve as a member of the Conservation Commission. Ms. Moriarty will serve a 3-year term expiring February 1st, 2027.
Madam President, it's the same thing. I'm just making a motion to suspend our rules and reappoint Ms. Moriarty.
Second.
Second. Under discussion? Any discussion? Councilor Bartley?
Same thing. She served honorably for years. It's a volunteer deal. Cannot run the government without the volunteers like Mary Moriarty and George Meddy. So
Great.
we're lucky to have her.
All right. On the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Motion to take up 5 and 6 as a package. Suspend rules.
Motion to take up item 5 and 6 as a package and suspend the rules.
Point
Is
of
there a
order.
second?
What's number 5? 'Cause I don't.
Communication. They're both communications.
Well, I don't want to take them as a package.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Forget that.
So
Take up item 5.
thank you. Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item number 5 is from Planning and Economic Development Director Aaron Vega, communication regarding the Office of Planning and Economic Development.
Motion receive.
Motion to receive.
Motion to
Second.
receive, and it's been seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Item number 6, from David Weinberg, communication regarding Victory Theater.
Right. Motion to take up item 6.
Great. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Under discussion?
Yeah, my motion's to receive that and to refer it to the DGR committee.
Second.
And under discussion, Madam President?
Yes. Councilor Bartley?
So I've, full disclosure, Dave's my neighbor, and he mentions me in the in his review. It was a very healthy meeting we had, whatever that date was. Mr. Sanders did follow up with me today with a phone call, and he said he would have been here, but I advised him it's not necessary. That we would refer it to committee where we would have a deeper discussion, and if Don or MIFA wants to send additional intel that we can discuss at that committee, then I encourage them to do so. So that's it.
Councilor Graney?
Just one question through the chair to Councilor Bartley. Did he mention what the opening date would be for the Victory Theater?
May I answer that?
Oh, yes, Councilor.
Well, I know how he's being somewhat facetious, but just through the chair to my friend Howie, that's been a moving target, as I think most of us are aware. At the meeting I had with Don and his assistant and Dave last fall, he said to us he expected shovels in the ground December of 23. That's gone by already. So I mean, I'm not really sure where it is right now, but I mean, in all fairness to Don and to MIFA and to the public, we really should have a better airing out of all this than what we have presently. So hopefully we'll get that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the motion has been made and seconded to send this communication to DGR. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Moving on, President's Report, just a couple updates. The March 5th meeting that was scheduled is going to be moved to March 6th due to the presidential primary. And that is the date that we were also inviting in representatives from the Parade Committee and the Caledonian Pipe Band. So we did reach out to Councilor Bartley, and we're working that through to make sure everyone's updated. So the other thing that I just wanted to mention, we've had some really great subcommittee meetings so far, and it's been great to see everyone in their roles as chair. One of the items that is on the agenda for this evening is item 33, and this is related to the ending of meeting times past 10 p.m. And so if, this is something that we are planning on voting on, it was discussed in committee. We definitely, I think it's just something to be mindful of as we are all sharing our committee reports, as we are giving updates in council. If this is a rule that does pass and we need to adhere to it, I'm going to do my best as the president to keep the conversation moving along. If it seems like, do you need an agenda? Okay. Oh, Jeffrey has. I don't know. Dave, this is from Jeffrey, the most recent one. So that's just more of a heads up to everyone that I'm hoping that we can use committee times for us to have good discussions. And if that is a rule that gets passed, I'm going to try to enforce that. So just felt like saying that. And that's it from me. Great. Councilor Bartley?
Can we take, since you brought it up, can we take 40, suspend the rules, take 48 up now, and then actually could probably take 47, 48, and 49 up. Just take care of those now, and then I just want to ask a question of you after somebody seconds that.
Sure. So the motion has been made to take items 47, to go out of order and take items 47, 48, and 49 out.
Second.
Yep.
Right?
The motion is to suspend the rules and then take them as a package. You got it.
And all those in favor? Aye. So 47 is filed by myself on behalf of the clerk's office, that the polling places for each of the voting precincts in the city of Holyoke for the presidential primary will be held on Tuesday, March 5th. B and the same are hereby designated as follows. And then we have all of the wards where everyone is going to vote, and this information will be up on the city website. Item number 48 is also filed by myself on behalf of the council, that the city council suspend the necessary rules and cancel the city council meeting scheduled for March 5th, 2024 due to the presidential primary. And then 49 is ordered that the presidential primaries in the city of Holyoke for the expression of presidential preference or of no preference of political parties, or for the election of candidates of political parties for offices herein stated to be, and they are hereby called to be held on Tuesday, March 5th, 2024, in the several places as designated by the City Council.
So my motion will be to approve all three.
And I'll second that, and just note that the polls are open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
And just a quick point of order.
Yes, Councilor.
Are we already designating March 6th? Have we done that yet? Or do you have to call a special meeting?
We will call a special meeting.
Okay, so do you want to, you're going to do that when? The only reason I ask is
Yeah.
because it would be helpful if that was posted
Yes,
early.
absolutely.
So we could just get it all in the bank officially.
Yep, for sure. Nope. Okay, so we'll have the same Friday at noon deadline for that agenda, but we can get that out this week and get it posted as soon as possible.
Well,
Okay?
sounds good. Yep.
So on the motion to take these 47, 48, 49, yes, City Clerk?
I was just going to ask if you guys are all okay if we have do the agenda on Friday still, so we can set up for the election on Monday.
Friday at noon.
Yeah, if that's okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Anything for you, Brenna.
Thank you. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Thank you. Okay. Now we'll get into reports of committees. Yay. All right. Item number 7. The Committee on Ordinance, to whom was referred an order that the City Council amend Ordinance 2-336 A and B to reflect a streamlined process for disposition of tax title properties and other properties not needed by the city for municipal purposes, and to add a new section for the creation of an abutter lots sale program. This has been recommended the order be referred to the City Council without recommendation. Councilor Rivera.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this particular order was actually filed by Councilor Tessa Murphy-Ramboletti at the time. Now she's Madam Chair. But it came up a couple times. We've had a variety of different discussions, but at the last meeting, because there was a lack of pretty much communication with regards to the things that happened in the past during that particular meeting, and language not coming up the way we would like it to read at the moment. Councilor Bartley had referred for us to, or kind of suggested that we send it to full council without recommendation. It was voted on and it came here to us, and it's now before us. For me, what I would say is I voted yes without recommendation in the moment, but I would prefer for it to be tabled just so that we can figure out how better to proceed with this, because this is still an issue that some people want to, I think that op-ed wants to deal with, and some department heads wants to try to tackle. They just haven't figured out the language that is needed right at the moment. So I would entertain whatever motions anyone wants to put forward, but I would prefer for it to be tabled at the time being.
Not hearing a second for tabling, I'd like to make a motion to send it back to committee if we don't want to move on it.
Second.
Okay, so the motion has been made and seconded to table this item.
To send it back to,
Oh, I'm sorry, to send back to committee. Under discussion, Councilor Devine.
Yeah, I just want to know, Councilor Rivera, will the language be the same?
I would expect not when it comes for the second time around. The main issue was that, like, it seemed that there was not much progress from where the last meeting was, and the fact that the jacket is kind of heavy. We're just trying to push things forward to try to empty out the jacket and get people moving.
Okay.
But hopefully, with it going back into the jacket, it'll move a little faster now. If
Thank
not,
you.
then I would be no issue with leave to withdraw for the next time.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, so the motion has been made and seconded to send back to committee. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Okay. So moving forward, we have item number 8. The Committee on Ordinance, to whom it was referred an order that the zoning ordinance section 6.4.2 exemptions be amended to add a letter K. Banners or signs associated with a civic or municipal program may be allowed in all districts. Community or commercial sponsorship may be displayed on said banner or sign, provided that the banner or sign itself is not be greater than 6 square feet. These installations must be approved by the city and by the Department of Public Works as applicable. Recommended that the order be referred to the City Council without recommendation. Councilor Rivera?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This was another one that has been in the agenda for a little while. We've met on it several times, I would say, and still the developments and the process and the progress with regards to this particular order are still a little bit confusing. And the vote came out 3-2 for it to come out to be recommended with no recommendation. I voted against it, but mostly because I would want it to still stay in the committee so we can have the conversation and figure out what is actually being trying to be put forth with regards to this particular order. But again, this is another order that I'm okay with moving it forward and having somebody refile it again if it's really a necessary process. The issue I think for us is there is so much. Again, I'll repeat it. There is a lot in the jacket, so I'm putting everything out, trying to move it forward. Whatever is getting worked on and there is progress, we will continue to move forward with that. Whatever there isn't, then we will try to handle that as we can.
Thank you. Councilor Bacon?
I'd like to make a motion to deny this ordinance change.
Second.
Motion has been made to deny under discussion.
If I may.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilor Bacon.
So the committee's had a number of discussions on this. We requested a legal form in one way. We received a legal form in a completely different way. And the current language under an exemption of an ordinance greatly expands the ordinance. An exemption is supposed to be a narrow, small thing under which you make an exception for a small thing. So I just would respectfully offer that this is in the wrong place if this is what wants to be accomplished, and that perhaps a new order could be filed that would better get the question answered. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I would only point out that anytime you try to have an ordinance relative to free speech or anything like that, it gets very tricky in terms of all aspects of it. And I think it wasn't as well thought out as it could have been. The sponsor of the order is cycled off the board. I'm hopeful that if the real proponent, which I think is OPED, wants to come back, they can present it in a clearer, narrower format. So this is just not ready for prime time whatsoever. It exposes the city, I think, to problems going forward. I would only point out that this would require to pass a 2/3 vote, and I'm glad to hear the chair, because I was encouraging moving these things out of committee, because that jack gets out of control. Those ordinance meetings the last couple of years have been out of control in duration, and they've just got to be more focused and move things along. That's going to be my goal going forward. So I heard what the chair said relative to the prior order, and I said to the chair that very night, I'm going to respect what the chair wants to do, and I heard what the chair said, so I want to give that lead to a draw, because that ordinance is simply unwieldy at 5 pages. It is unwieldy. But I heard what the chair said. We'll send it back to committee and we'll talk it out. But I'm still going to vote the way I vote, unless that is really narrow. Same way as this one. It's just not ready to go. I'm not saying it's wrong or right. It just doesn't have really a fine point on it. So I think we should give it, deny it or give it leave to a draw.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Devine, and then Councilor Anderson Burgos.
I think we just had a motion to deny it from Councilor Bacon. So what I want to know is, if we deny it, somebody else will have to file an order again, correct?
Correct.
Rather than give it leave to withdraw, but you can't have the two motions at the same time, so
There's one
whatever
more
one.
motion. Patty. there's a-
Excuse me,
Folks, that's all.
could have swore I had the floor.
You do have the floor,
So if there's a
Councilor Devine.
motion to deny, and apparently,
One motion.
Councilor.
excuse me.
Councilor
I don't-
Devine has the floor.
And if Councilor Bartley indicated he wanted to give it leave to withdraw, that's where the confusion lies. So is it leave to withdraw or denied?
Well, the motion that's on the floor right now is still to deny.
Just point of order. Did I make a motion? Madam, did I or did I not?
Counselor, you did not make a
Thank
motion.
you. Okay, so maybe,
Okay,
maybe
well,
that'll penetrate.
Guys, all right, let's all just calm down a little bit. Counselor, well, first I actually saw Counselor Anderson Burgos and then Counselor McGrath-Smith.
I'll be quick and gentle. So, I recall that in order to clean up house, that if an order extends from the previous session, that it be removed, they would be removed. I thought that we had that discussion before, and I could have sworn about 2 years ago, a lot of the orders I had filed that were sitting in jackets were just removed from the jacket, and they were like all leave to withdraw. I remember that clearly. So, am I missing something? I mean, I don't mind having this removed, like I really don't, but I thought that's what we were supposed to be doing. Just because if we're gonna, I mean, the jackets are congested, and that's just holding up a lot of the work that we need to do as a city, as elected officials. So we need to find a system that's gonna work.
So there's no hard or fast rule, but
Yeah.
well, so first is I've
all
got.
set. Thank you.
Are you all set?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, because I've got Counselor McGrath-Smith, Counselor Bacon, and then Counselor Greeny. Go for it.
I will say it's not a hard and fast rule because it's in the charter and rules jacket, whether or not that should be a rule, whether or not in between sessions of council, all items in the jacket should be automatically given leave to withdraw. But it's still in the charter and rules jacket. It's never been taken up and officially voted on to become an official rule. So that's why you're remembering conversations about it, because they did happen. It just is still there in my jacket. I wanted to say that I'm new to the ordinance committee, and it's very much it's a love of the detail. And I think I would love to hear from folks who were in part of prior conversations. What information do you wish you had as part of this? Just to state on the record one final time, whether, if we're giving this the capacity to just end this order, so they know what to do differently this next time around.
Well, Counselor Bacon, you were next.
Oh, I didn't know if I was there, Counselor Greeny. Oh, thank you.
I had you and then Counselor Greeny.
Okay, thank you. So, 2 years ago, I listed all of the orders from the ordinance jacket on the agenda, and they were presented to the council for leave to withdraw for the ones that were stale or just had been in there too long, in an effort to thin it out. So the ones that have been filed in the subsequent 2 years are all still in there. Relative to the particular order that we're on the motion for, we had plenty of information come in. The key information that came in was from our planning department that they were interested in promoting a particular program, which was quite narrow in focus. The only problem was the program doesn't exist yet. It's sort of in the pipeline. So it appeared to be we had the cart before the horse in that regard. And then this language that came out was much broader in nature and just didn't seem to fit under an exemption from my point of view. So that, it wasn't a lack of information. I think it was more a timing issue. Thanks.
Okay. Counselor Greeny.
I'd like to move the question, please, under Robert's Rules of Order.
Second.
Okay.
I don't need a second.
Motion has been made and seconded. So the motion on the floor is to deny. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. With that, the
Technically supposed to take a roll call vote on ordinances.
okay. Definitely. The clerk will call the roll.
Just a point of order.
I was just going to say.
Oh, yeah.
Readings of-
We have to do the readings.
Second reading.
So, Counselor Rivera.
So motion is to pass the first reading.
Second.
Motion has been made to pass the first reading.
And that can be,
Seconded.
the first
Aye.
two readings are voice vote, just so we're all, then the
Yep.
third one will be the roll call.
All in
Right.
favor? Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Motion to pass the second reading.
Second.
Motion is to pass the second reading. All those in favor?
Aye. The girl-
Any opposed? So moved.
Motion that the passage be ordained.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded that the passage be ordained. The clerk will call the roll. If you are voting yes, you are voting to deny the order.
I think the motion is to pass it, so you'd be voting yes is to adopt it.
This is to
No?
adopt it.
No.
No, it's to deny it.
The motion was to deny.
Okay, but he made a motion, I just listened, he said,
He made a motion to
motion
adopt.
to ordain, right?
He made a motion to adopt, so that's how we went through the process.
So we'll just have to
Okay.
make.
I'm just saying we should be careful.
No, it's great. I appreciate
It's
it.
motion to ordain, and now it's, if you vote yes, that's,
If you vote yes,
you're
voting-
ordaining it. If you
You're
vote no,
ordaining
you're
it.
denying
If you're
it.
voting no, you're denying it.
Exactly, just so we're
So-
careful.
Must have missed this from my
So
training
now I have a
materials.
point of order because
We
the
left your motion
motion-
a long time ago.
the
because we had to
motion
go
was
through it.
made to deny.
Yeah, so that should be the motion that's.
So he should be
Okay, as long as we're saying that, though,
saying motion to deny.
not to
So
ordain.
instead of saying a motion to ordain, you should say a motion to deny.
Okay. I think either or is correct, but
Either
I'll
way-
withdraw.
either
Right,
one
right.
is
I'll
gonna
withdraw.
have the
I'll
same
withdraw the motion, and then I'll say motion to deny.
There you go, second,
Second.
Ordain,
yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Rumboletti,
Yes.
Casio,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Rainey.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
I don't know if we've ever had.
With that, you've passed it.
Nice job, nice job.
We're getting there, guys. All right.
Doing great, doing great. Got-
Yeah, but
Okay.
a motion to take up item 9 and
Second.
Second.
10, suspend rules, and, oh wait, no, 10 is a removal, never mind.
Okay.
Just 9.
Okay. So motion has been made and seconded to take up item 9.
And-
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Item number 9 is the Committee on Ordinance, to whom was referred an order that a handicap sign be placed in front of 38 Beacon Ave for Elijah Santos, placard PL 5530997. Recommended that the order be adopted. Counselor Rivera.
Thank you. So the disabilities officer did not come in, but he sent a communication stating that he's reviewed the sites and that he recommends that they be adopted. Well, not just this one, but the other orders that are here too as well. So, yeah, he recommends that a handicap sign be placed in front of 38 Beacon for Elijah Santos.
Would that be a motion to pass the first reading?
Oh, my bad. Motion to pass the first reading.
Second.
Under discussion, motion's been made and seconded to pass the first reading. Motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Motion to pass the second reading.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to pass the second reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Motion that the passage be ordained. That's cool this time.
Second.
The motion has that the passage be ordained. The clerk will call the roll. If you are voting yes, you're voting to approve the placard.
Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Rumboletti,
Yes.
Casio, Casio,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Rainey.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Okay. Motion to suspend rules and take up items 10 and 11 as a package?
Second.
Is that what you want?
Motion has been made and seconded to take up items 10 and 11 as a package. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. So item number 10 is the Committee on Ordinance, to whom was referred an order that a handicap sign be removed from 195 Beach Street for Wilfred Puelo. Recommended that the order be adopted. And item 11 is the Committee on Ordinance was referred an order that the handicap parking at 527 South Bridge Street be removed. The original applicant has moved and will be reapplying for the new location. Also recommended that the order be adopted. Councilor Rivera.
Both orders are as read, and the Motion to pass the first reading.
Second.
And so the motion's to pass the first reading under discussion.
Taken out of ordinance.
Just a point of order, I'm sorry.
Sure.
I thought we just took a voice vote when we're removing these. We have to ordain them?
It has to come out of
Okay.
ordinance.
They're in ordinance, so they have to
Yes.
be removed by
you.
ordinance. Yep.
Okay. So any other discussion? All right, motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved.
Motion to pass the second reading.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to pass the second reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion that the passage be ordained.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded that the passage be ordained, and the clerk will call the roll. This is for, if you vote yes, you're voting for 10 and 11 to be removed.
Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Ocasio,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Rainey.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
With that, you've passed those two. All right, and now we're moving on to finance. Great job, ordinance committee. Item number 12, the Committee on Finance, to whom was referred an order in accordance with Mass General Law. The City Council hereby accepts the provisions of the fiscal year 24 Edward J. Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant for $49,920, no match, and authorizes the establishment of a fund or other method appropriate for the accounting of the receipts. Recommended that the order be adopted. Councilor Devine?
Motion to pass its first reading.
Second.
Motion's been made to pass the first reading. Councilor Devine?
This was a grant that the chief came in and the finance committee voted 5-0 in favor of it. And it's from the State Executive Office of Public Safety. And it will increase patrols in conjunction with the state police. So if the state police is needed, it's fairly simple for them just to call the Northampton branch.
Thank you, Councilor. Is there any other discussion or comments? Okay, so the motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion
Any
to pass the
opposed?
second reading.
Motion to pass the second reading. Is there a second? The clerk will call the roll.
Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Ocasio,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Rainey.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Great, with that, you've passed.
Motion to take up item 13.
There's a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item number 13, the Committee on Finance, to whom an order was referred that appropriated transfer in the fiscal year 24 for $300,000 from sergeants, patrolmen, E911 dispatchers to overtime.
Motion to pass the first reading.
Is there a second? Motion has been made to pass the first reading. Councilor Devine?
Yes, this was a transfer for overtime, and the chief was here, and he indicated that he's hoping, and this was also a 5-0 vote by the Finance Committee, he doesn't anticipate coming before us any more this year, and he has 95 patrolmen, 87 officers, 4 are in the academy, 12 are injured on duty, and 2 are in the military. So he does feel that he's going to be able to fill a vacant position, and he's hoping that he doesn't have to come before us for more overtime this fiscal year.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Rivera?
Excuse me, Counselor. Through the chair, Counselor Devine, do we have a number of how much they've expended so far? I think they said it in the meeting. Just I don't remember.
How many times he's come in?
No, how much they've asked for so far?
1, 2, 3. I wrote 300,000, 200,000, 300,000, and then 300 at our meeting.
So that's about 1.3.
Yeah, I had 1.1.
1.1-ish?
1.1 he had thought for the year.
And you
Okay.
did 1 million last year.
All right.
So it's about 100,000 more.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other counselors? Counselor Sullivan.
Just a comment for everybody. On top of that 1.1 million, we also heard the other day that money has been transferred out of the seized assets fund, and we don't know how much of that also was added to that number of overtime. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so the motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor? Aye. Any
Motion
opposed?
to pass the second reading.
Motion to pass the second reading. Thank you. The clerk will call the roll.
Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Ocasio,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Graney.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
With that, you've passed that transfer request. Item 14.
Motion to take it up.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So the Committee on Finance, to whom was referred an order that the City Council hereby accepts the provisions of the 2023 Community Mitigation Fund Transportation Planning Grant, $82,300, no match, and authorizes the establishment of a fund for the purpose of accounting for the receipts. And this is recommended that the order be adopted. Counselor Devine.
The motion to pass the first reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Counselor Devine?
Yeah, Carl was in here from the DPW, and he's given us a printout of the streets to be paved, and I'm not sure if Jeff had time to send that to everybody, but if you haven't received it, if you just see Jeff, he'll take care of it for you. The city is requesting funding from the Community Mitigation Fund to perform initial engineering design work, so hopefully we're going to get a lot of streets paved. And the list is quite extensive, so hopefully you'll get a copy of that.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Bacon?
I would just note that the list that was submitted to committee and the list posted on the website don't exactly match. So I'm hoping our administrative assistant could reach out and get a list that's the same on both ends. Sure. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other counselors? Oh, Counselor Ocasio?
I had a question. Are the alleyways, who paves the alleyways? Because we have a lot of potholes in some of the alleyways.
Each alleyway, the alleyways themselves are owned by the property owner in front of their property. So that's the limited amount that I know. Could be a good order to be filed.
Yeah, because the mayor was going to look into that. So, thank you.
Okay.
Mrs. President?
Yes.
I just wanted to say that you might want to call Carl at the DPW and tell him specifically where the alley is, and that way they can start the patching.
Okay. Thank you. I'm not seeing any other comments on this, so the motion was to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Motion to pass the
opposed?
second reading?
Motion is to pass the second reading. The clerk will call the roll.
Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Ocasio,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos.
Yes.
Bartley.
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Graney. Unanimous vote.
With that, you've passed that grant acceptance. Item number 15.
Motion to take it up.
Is there a second? All those in favor? Aye. Item number 15 is the Committee on Finance hereby accept the provisions of the Mass Emergency Management Agency Hazard Mitigation Plan, $26,800, 10% in-kind volunteer match, and authorize the establishment of a fund for the accounting of the receipts and expenditures. Counselor Devine.
Motion to pass the first reading?
Motion has been made to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Counselor Devine.
We had, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing the name, because it's the first time I met the conservation person.
Yoni?
Yoni.
Yoni, thank you. This is a plan that, I get my notes here. FEMA requires a vendor from the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, and they have until FY26 to complete the funding. And he gave us an update on that, and it has to be according to FEMA guidelines, allow us to remain eligible to apply for flood mitigation assistance grant program and other opportunities. And that was a 5-0 vote as well with the Finance Committee.
Thank you. So is any other questions or comments on this? Okay, so the motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion passed second reading.
And the motion to pass the second reading. The clerk will call the roll.
Jordan?
Yes.
McGrath Smith?
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti?
Yes.
Ocasio?
Yes.
Israel Rivera?
Yes.
Jenny Rivera?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
Bartley?
Yes.
Devine?
Yes.
Givner?
Yes.
Greenie?
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
With that, you've passed that grant acceptance. Item number 16, the Committee on Finance, to whom was referred that there be appropriated transfer in fiscal year 24, $20,000 from capital stabilization to contracted services for the mayor ambulance feasibility. So this is the motions to receive, adopt, and pass the first reading. Counselor Devine?
Motion to pass its first reading.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Okay, this was a proposal that the mayor put in, along with the fire department, members of the fire department, Mark Fortin, and the fire chief from East Hampton as well, looking for a feasibility study. An RFP went out so we can get some more information about the possibility of running an ambulance service. And I believe it would be through the fire department. And he also made a commitment, the mayor also made a commitment to put the $20,000 back in stabilization.
Thank you, Counselor Devine. Counselor Greenie?
Just a quick question, what's our balance in the stabilization fund?
I have no idea.
Who has?
Finance chair usually knows. We're used to that from Counselor McGivern.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay.
Find out.
I'll be happy to find out for you.
Okay. Counselor Bartley?
Yeah, and I should have filed the order, because I brought that up the last meeting. I think I brought that up, and the free cash certification, Madam President. So if that's something that you could possibly look to, first call, and I could call Tanya myself, but sometimes it's just easier to have
Yeah.
the big cheese do it instead of getting 10.
Big cheese, I got you. I got
All right,
you.
Thanks.
That's me. All right.
Madam Chair?
Counselor Greenie?
Yeah, I'm reluctant to take money out of the stabilization fund if we don't know how much is in it.
Okay.
There's more than 20, I can tell you.
Okay,
This is
Counselor.
the capital stabilization.
Yeah, this is the capital one, Howie.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
this is a different one.
That clarifies, thank
Yep,
you.
thank you.
Counselor Bacon, you good? Or?
Thank you.
Yep.
So I will be supporting this only because the mayor said if there was excess fund in the fire department, it would get returned to the fund, because I'm not a big fan of usually using stabilization money for consultants. And I would note that when I met with the mayor about 2 weeks ago, it was anticipated the free cash would be certified by 2 months at that time. That was
Thank you.
the timeline I was given. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Bartley?
Yeah, I am a fan of this. So, but that's why, and I appreciate the mayor establishing, and that was really with, Councilor Lisi's the one that kind of want to get this cranking, the capital stabilization, because she kept bringing it up, and, prior, whatever, doesn't matter, going to do it, but Josh pulled it off. And so that's why we have this particular account to do some special projects where they're not necessarily budgeted, but we have the funds to do that. And this is a perfect example. Now, the other stabilization account, I could not agree more with Councilor Bacon and Councilor Greenie. on that. That's just something that's sacrosanct, with rare exceptions such as paying off snowplow vendors that haven't been paid because we haven't budgeted. So I just think this account is very helpful to the city, and I'm grateful the mayor's going to replenish it. But this sounds like a reasonable expenditure for something that may be very beneficial for our firefighters and for our residents.
Councilor Greeny.
Yeah, just, I apologize. I misread this. I thought it was the regular stabilization fund, so I stand corrected.
Alrighty, anyone else? So the motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Motion to pass second reading?
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded to pass the second reading. The clerk will call the roll. If you're voting in favor, you are voting for the transfer.
Jordan?
Yes.
McGrath Smith?
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti?
Yes.
Ocasio?
Yes.
Israel Rivera?
Yes.
Jenny Rivera?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
Bartley?
Yes.
Devine?
Yes.
Givner? Graney?
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Thank you. With that, you've passed it. Item number 17, the Committee on Finance, to whom was referred an order that the City Council vote to approve the attached memorandum of understanding, allowing the City of Holyoke to receive transportation reimbursement in accordance with the provisions of the Every Student Succeeds Act, allowed by provisions of Mass General Law. And the motion is to receive, adopt, and pass the first reading. Councilor Devine?
A motion to pass the first reading?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. And we had somebody in from the school department. This is a terrific order. If we transfer kids outside of our district, we don't get reimbursed. So this is something they put in place that now will be able to get reimbursed in the future. And I believe he said it was about $20,000, and that also was a unanimous vote of the Finance Committee. Also, that this can be amended at any time by the parties in the future if there's any changes that need to be made.
Okay. Councilor Graney and then Councilor Bartley.
Just quickly, to ask the Chair of Finance, is it Durham still the provider for the transportation in the schools?
To be honest with you, Howie, I don't know who it is.
Oh, okay.
Maybe somebody else does.
I believe it's Durham, but yeah.
Apparently, nobody else does either. So.
No, I think it is Durham. Yeah.
Okay.
It's Durham.
Once again, I'm just starting back on this board, and I'm just seeking information. That's all.
Got it. No problem. Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know, and it's something I could look up myself. I'm just raising the point. If somebody knows the answer, So we're going to get $20,000 back. What's the school department spending on busing people out of district? I'm glad we're getting the 20 grand. I mean, that's great, but what is that? What is that? 1%? I guess that's is rhetorical. I realize because these are questions. Listen, we're all just trying to get back in the game here. I get it, but it would be helpful to get a better understanding exactly what that is. Thanks.
Councilor Rivera.
Just to kind of, through the chair, to speak to that that's a difficult question to answer offhand, just because there's a variety of different sources that pay that. If the person is unhoused, there's a McKinney-Vento process that pays that. It is ultimately out of the education budget, but that particular line item is funded specifically out of federal or state dollars that is not coming out of technically our local budget. But like I said, it's a little more difficult because there's a variety of different funding streams with regards to people that are being bussed out. But that's because either we don't have services here to provide for them or they're school choicing out. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Councilor Graney?
Just quickly to ask Councilor Rivera, if I could, that's mandated, isn't it? That transportation law it's by law that we have.
Yes, it depends specifically if they have an individualized plan, right? An IEP. If they have IEPs, and I know this because my daughter has an IEP. So if I were to send her to Springfield schools, they would have to provide me transportation from Holyoke to Springfield and all the costs, as well as the cost of her going to Springfield schools.
Basically door to door, correct?
Door to door, yep.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, the motion was made to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to pass the second reading. The clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting in favor of the order.
Jordan?
Yes.
McGrath Smith?
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti?
Yes.
Ocasio?
Yes.
Israel Rivera?
Yes.
Jenny Rivera?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
Bartley?
Yes.
Devine?
Yes.
Givner?
Yes.
Rainey?
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
With that, you've passed that order. Item 18, the Committee on Finance establish a health insurance trust agreement pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 23B, Section 3A. It permits a municipality to establish a health insurance trust to, quote, organize, arrange, or provide for the delivery or payment of healthcare coverage or services. The establishment of a trust by the city to administer healthcare payments will create a significant savings for the fiscal 2025 proposed budget. Recommended that the order be adopted.
Motion to pass the first reading.
Motion's been made and seconded to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Counselor Devine.
I'm not sure if you people had a chance to look at the video that was sent out from Cook and Company. Apparently you had the woman in, I wasn't a counselor at the time. And it's a very good video, so if you need to see it, anybody that's new, it's Jeff can get you in touch with that. And basically what this is they needed the city council permission to establish a trust to look into, organize, arrange, and provide for a municipality to establish a health insurance trust. And I'm not sure, again, if you received the thing that says self-funding timeline. It's an order, and if not, by all means, ask Jeff for it. It's pretty interesting, and we had Maureen Ross O'Connell in, and I believe somebody from Dowd. And if you look at the timeline, I think it's going to work pretty good. But all they had to do for us, all they needed from us was to give them permission to establish the trust, and that's what we did.
Okay. Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Graney?
Yeah, just quickly, will the city be paying a fee to this company for handling this trust?
I don't remember them talking about that at all.
Counselor Bacon's next, but did you have your hand up in response to that? Or
I can wait.
Okay.
Yeah, I am I'll help answer the question.
Okay.
Okay, so I just wanted to point out that although the order says that this will create significant savings to the fiscal year 25 proposed budget, it's been pointed out in the video, for those of you who didn't have a chance to see it, and in the meeting, that the savings, if there are any to be recognized, would probably be in the second or third year of the plan, depending on the performance of the plan, and they would be held within the plan. So this would not be something where we would be recognizing significant savings for the city budget, per se. I just think that's an important distinction to be made, because we have to make sure, if we go down this path, that we have adequate funds to provide coverage for the claims.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor Jordan?
Yes. Couple of points. With self-insurance, the first thing I want to point out to the council is we're going to have subsequent votes on this. This is just the entry-level vote to even sort of get it out of the gate. You'll be asked and are going to have to be given a great deal more information before you can finally make the approval. I will say, though, that they're planning on doing this, if they can pull it off, for July 1st. First thing is, just as Councilor Bacon had stated, there will not be any quote-unquote savings that would be usable elsewhere in the budget, because of the fact that we're going to have to build up a reserve. The whole difference between fully funded and self-funded is, when you have fully funded insurance, you pay an insurance company, you pay a fixed premium. If the health claims come in more, you have zero liability. But they're obviously setting that premium based on that risk. So as a result, they're going to charge you more for the premium. Now to answer Counselor Graney's question, if you have self-funded, yes, you do pay, but what it is you're technically the city paying all the claims. We become the insurance company. The difference is we hire a company like Health New England to be the third-party administrator of the fund. They process the claims. They do the utilization management. We buy their network of providers and hospitals that determine what rates will be paid. So, and it's typically about 8% is generally the fee. So just so you have a flavor for it. So that's what you have to, as a coming attraction. Overall, they predict that it'll be, based on the last couple of years, it would have been about a $2 million per year savings, paying full premium versus doing it yourself with a third-party administrator. But we have to be really careful, and we have to make sure it's properly managed and being watched, because if you don't, you can have it go over 100% of the premium, and now that would deplete the reserve. That's why it takes a few years to really hopefully build up a surplus, so that if you have an overage year, you've got the money in there to cover, because what we're going to want to do is pay the same amount for the first few years that we've been paying. And then ideally, if you really build up a big cushion, maybe then you could dial it back $1 million or $2 million. Okay, and that's where theoretically the savings will come long term. But on the other hand, the city used to be self-insured years ago, and it was not managed properly, and they got burned, and they had to pay in. And therefore, we need to be very careful that that's done the right way. But we've been fully funded for quite a long time now. But it is watched very closely. On the other hand, you can take some level of assurance that this is the general standard in the industry, especially of being a large governmental payers, that you have self-funded. For example, the state of Massachusetts, for the employees, they're self-funded. Most large employers are self-funded. It's generally the rule of thumb is that you are, once you get to a certain size and scale. Because actuarially, but you have to be very careful that your third-party administrator that you're hiring is making sure that they're doing good calculations about how much the employee should pay and how much the city should pay, so that the fund is properly done. So setting all that, that's when the quote-unquote the proverbial devil's in the details. So looking forward to those conversations, but if this ultimately, our experts are telling us this is the direction to go, for the last 2 years, we've been exploring other options than just the Holyoke, go it alone, fully funded, which we've seen sort of hockey stick up for quite a number of years. Then we kicked the tires on GIC, the MMA proposal, a few of these other different proposals. Finally, the consultants have landed on self-funded, and that's where we are today. And one of the other things you have to also do is be very careful to ensure what is called a stop-loss policy, so that when you get the $1 million, God forbid, cancer patient, or you get somebody who has, some mega amount of claims, you get one of the employees has a preemie baby and it costs $1 million to save the baby type of situation where you could rack up Googles of claims. You have to have insurance so that we pay a premium for that, so that if it goes over, say, $300,000, it chops off. So I would encourage counselors, really look into this, ask good questions, but it's a major decision. It's a major decision, and you'll be asked to vote on it in the months ahead. So do your homework and really look into it, because it's an important one for the city.
Thank you, Counselor. I have Counselor Graney and then Devine.
Specifically, who would be the watchdog of this company in the city of Holyoke? Who would have their eye on the ball?
There's supposed to be a trust fund, if I may, Madam Chair.
Sure. And
Does everybody have this form, first of all?
Everybody
Okay.
should have it.
Everyone should have that.
Should have it. And
Do we
that
need to send
explains
this-
everything. Okay, it'll say like Counselor Jordan was saying, and he said it very well. Evaluate and choose third-party administrators. And then it tells you who the responsible parties is, when their start date is, when their target end date is, April 1st, 2024, what task will be in that. Health New England Renewal, submit RFP to qualified carriers. So if you haven't gotten this, this is going to tell you everything that you wanted to know and how often they're probably going to be coming in for certain votes.
And I believe a lot of that was discussed in committee.
Yep.
So I encourage folks to definitely watch the video. And thank you, Councilor Jordan, for the overview.
And the self-funding timeline, I'd leave it in your desk. That way you're going to always have it with you, so.
Great. So I'm missing anyone else?
Can I just point out one thing, Madam
Sure.
President? I would just point out there will be the next, one of the other important steps will be you'll be receiving a trust document from the law department that's going to set up all the rules as to how the trust fund's going to work. And then it's going to be kind of like the retirement board, except there'll be trustees appointed to oversee the fund.
Right.
And we'll have a say as to who those people are, and the mayor will, and whatnot. So that's going to be sort of step 2.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Motion to-
opposed? So moved.
Motion to pass second reading?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to pass the second reading. The clerk will call the roll.
Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Ocasio,
Yes.
Israel Rivera.
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Graney.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
With that, you've passed that order.
Motion to take up item 19?
Motion and second to take up item 19. Could I make a motion to waive the full reading of the
I'll make a
item?
motion
moved.
that we have an abbreviated reading.
Yeah.
And can I also note that there's a typo that November 4 should say November 5, right, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
Oh,
So do I need to offer that as an amendment?
Second.
Can I amend your amendment for one other typo?
Okay.
And that is, when this was originally filed, Madam President, it was going to be, at the beginning of summary of question, it was going to be October 3rd, 2023. That should now read today's date, February 6, 2024.
It does note revised dates, so, in the
Yeah.
body, so, but the voting day was definitely,
But the law department did approve the other language, so that was good.
yeah,
okay.
thank you.
So the motion has been made and seconded to pass. I'm gonna do an abbreviated reading. The Committee on Finance, to whom was referred an order that the ballot question approved by the City Council be placed on the ballot for November 5th, 2024, as referenced in the September 26th, 2023 decision by Judge McQueen. And the ballot question, shall the City of Holyoke amend the current Community Preservation Act real estate surcharge from 1.5 to 1.0%, a summary of which appears below, and then everything drafted below. The amendment would change the date from October 3rd, 2023 to February 6th, 2024. I think that's the full, okay. Motion has been made and seconded. Under discussion. Counselor Devine.
It was also a 5-0 vote to
Oh, thank you.
put that on the ballot. And
Thank
from what I understand, the city clerk will get a notice of acceptance and certify the ballot. Is that correct?
Okay. So that is the motion to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Well, I'm gonna, yeah. So under discussion, Counselor McGrath Smith, and then I see Councilor Bacon's hand.
I think, oh, you didn't have your hand up? Oh.
Councilor McGrath Smith.
This has come in front of this body several times in many different ways, whether it was here, whether it was in various subcommittee meetings over the last few years. And I think it's important to understand what CPA has done for our city. There are 194 CPA communities in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and Holyoke is one of them. We are a 1.5% community, which is the average. You could choose to be as low as 0.5, you could be as high as 3. And we chose the middle of the road at the time, with intention. We also created an automatic exemption on the first $100,000 of property value in order to make it an even more middle of the line approach. Something that was reasonable, something that matched what our community wanted to do, which was invest in Holyoke because we believe in all the work that we have to do here, but to do it as reasonably as possible. So last year, the average home value was $236,000, and the average household in our city paid a surcharge of $38.34. $38. You take a little bit of money from a lot of people and you got something. And that's what the CPA does. It's not a lot, it's a little. And I know even a little can feel like a big ask, but we're also doing really good work with that money. And it comes with an incredible investment back. You can't walk into any bank and ask for a 31% match on the money that you're putting in your savings account. But that's what we're getting on the funding that we're putting forward. The average state match, where you look at all of the last 5 cycles we've been doing this, 31%. So that means that the state kicked in $844,000 towards projects in our city based on our skin in the game. They're not going to give you money for nothing. You have to prove that you care enough to put some of your riches to bear. And we did that. In terms of how we're leveraging funds. So to give you an example of what CPA money does, there was a lot of years where any funding that required a match, people knew, good luck getting it from council. Where is the money? You can't get water from a stone. And we've had budget years that were real rough. And here is CPA, who is saying to department heads, come to us, right? We will give you that seed money that you need to go chase real dollars. So the Anniversary Hill project, Scotts Tower has been wildly popular. When we started CPA Senior Center in the informational meetings, people really wanted us to tackle Scotts Tower and Anniversary Hill, bring it back to what it was, right? Modernize it for a new age. So CPA over the last few funding cycles has given the Director of Conservation $205,000, which was then matched with state and federal funding of $770,000, none of which was going to come to the city unless that match existed. If it didn't come from CPA, it had to come from us. It had to come from one of the other ones we looked at tonight, where it's a match that we have to come up with the 10%. It has to come from somewhere. Right now, CPA is stepping into that gap for the city. Stained glass, we put in $285,000. It was a 1-to-1 match with state funds, right? I could go on. You have projects at the Library Commons too. We put in $250,000 in CPA. The City Council also put in an additional matching grant to that. That was the percent required for them to get the state and federal grants for $24 million to bring that project to the city. I think we have to be smart about investing in our city. And this is an incredible resource. We've already picked a middle of the line approach here. And I think we have to be honest with people about what we're asking for them and also be willing to say why it matters that we are asking for it, because it matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Vigan.
Thank you, Madam President. I didn't really have a plan to redo all of the committee meetings that we have had where we've covered all these various points. And now Councilor McGrath Smith came in as the chair of CPA at the time and, did share the information with committee relative to the worthy projects of the CPA funds. However, it must be said that it's the taxpayers that are funding CPA to have the funds available, and the taxpayers have been expressing with greater and greater frequency, intensity, and those are good enough adjectives, that their backs are being broken by the increasing fees, the increasing taxes. Their home values over 5 years have increased exponentially. This ballot question gives voters the right to have a say about a surtax that was voted. It did pass by 10 points. It went into effect for 5 years. And after 5 years, it's only right that the voters and the taxpayers should have a right to weigh in on CPA. There have been worthy projects done. In the spirit of compromise, I had originally proposed a couple different things. This proposal that's before us tonight, and I appreciate Finance Committee voting it out 5-0, was a compromise through process, through discussion with the then City Council. And so I would note that the legal language which Attorney Dagnan did come into finance on and say is this exactly the same as when we approved it, does stipulate that the council's putting it on the ballot for the voters to make their decision without taking a position. So it does not bind any of us to being in favor of it or opposed to it to put it on the ballot. We're all free to make our various points and listen to our constituents to see what their will is relative to whatever we may choose to say about it. But I really hope the body will approve it, and the mayor has let me know he will let it move to the ballot should the council approve it tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Jordan.
Just a couple points I wanted to make, and again, good people can agree or not agree on putting it on the ballot, but I have heard certainly from my constituents, and there's good arguments again to be made on both sides about the merits of CPA. As the good counselor mentioned, a number of the different projects that have been advanced by it, and I could definitely see why people would want to vote to not reduce it. On the other hand, there are those who have made equally logical arguments as to why it should. And since some of the arguments in favor were made, I'll just point out a couple of the things that just people should be aware of. When this started, it collected approximately $450,000 a year. Through no change in the percentage, the amount collected has now doubled in that period of time. Not because the percentage has increased, but because the values of the homes have increased. And therefore, the reduction from 1.5 to 1 would take back some of that increase. It's still more than what was originally pitched when it went into effect. The other thing that a number of constituents have expressed to me concern about is the fact that since 1999 to 2024, our current, so that 25-year span, the tax levy has gone from $28 million to $63 million. That is to say that we have increased $35 million more every year in property tax over the last 25 years. So that is to say Holyoke started as a town in 1850, and in 150 years we went from 0 to 28 million in 150 years. But we have gone more than doubled what we've increased the property tax in the first 150 years of the city in the last 25 years of the city. So 28 million in 150 years, 35 million in 25 years. So we've got a definite spending issue, because there's certainly not a revenue problem, because we're taxing at unprecedented levels. And some citizens feel this is now just another tax layered upon that. Bottom line is, I voted to put this on the ballot 5-6 years ago now, because it's really the people's choice. It's their government. And for the same reason, I'll vote again tonight to put it on the ballot, because it's their government and I'm voting to allow them to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Rivera.
Thank you. I think one of the questions I have is that when it got vetoed and then we got sued in the court, the judge pretty much stated as to why she's agreeing with the mayor in a sense, right? And it had to do with not following proper procedure, right? So I guess for me is, are we going to be following proper procedure this go around? Like, what is that? Because if that's not the case, then I would have to lean on voting no until we figure out what is the proper procedure that the judge was referring to, and then actually follow the proper procedure that she was referring to. We can't pick and choose, as Councilor, through the chair, Councilor Jordan had referenced before, right? Even though you did something wrong before and you didn't know it was wrong, if you continue to do it wrong and knowing it was wrong, that's a problem. So for me, it's like, if the judge pointed something out that was wrong, have we righted that wrong? And if we have, I have no issue with moving forward. If we haven't, then we have to kind of right that wrong before we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Bacon.
So through the chair to Councilor Rivera, that matter had been raised by legal as to whether the question was in proper form. And legal went back and did further research since the last public comments relative to it. And Attorney Degnan came into Finance Committee specifically on the matter of, was the question in proper form and would it be received by the state, and affirmed to the committee that yes, it was.
Councilor Rivera.
I'm confused. So what I'm confused about is that the question wasn't necessarily, the process wasn't necessarily that the question was in proper form. I think is whether we took the proper procedures to put it out there. Did we take a vote on it to actually put it out there? And I think that's the thing that the council doesn't want to do. They don't want to take a vote on it and take a position on it. And because of that, that's why the judge sided with the mayor. You got to kind of take a position on it. You can't kind of throw it out there in limbo without taking an actual position on it and thinking that it's proper procedure.
Can I follow up on my answer, please?
Sure, Councilor Bacon.
So Attorney Degnan did address that specifically, because in our initial ballot question, we said the city council placed it on the ballot without taking a position. That was the question. And Attorney Degnan confirmed that it was in proper order for us to put the question on without taking a position. The question had been raised. She did further research and answered it. The judge also said in her finding that since the ballot question would go on in 2024, as stipulated by the mayor, she found no harm. So the questions have been answered and clarified through our legal department by Attorney Degnan. Thank you.
Councilor Jordan, and then Councilor Greeny.
Just one added point. I think it's relevant why Attorney Degnan came to the decision that she did. She researched it further based on that the DOR had approved the language the first time with the without taking a position language. She went back and they actually authorized that, and she's now using the same language. And since the state had approved that language, she said using the same language is also approved. So I think they just did some more research on it to get that the law department would get comfortable with it. So I think hopefully that addresses that issue.
I have I'll come back. Councilor Greeny.
Yeah, just quickly, the public voted in favor of the CPA, and they had a right to vote for this particular surcharge or tax. And I think they should have an opportunity to revisit it 5 years later and have a vote as to whether or not they want to rescind it or not, because they don't have a very much of a chance to vote on many tax issues. But this is one, and I think we should give them the opportunity to vote on it. Thank you.
I have Counselor Devine.
Yeah, I just, I agree that the Finance Committee voted 5-0 to bring it out of committee so that we can get it put on the ballot without taking a stance one way or the other. But I did want to thank Counselor McGrath Smith, because she definitely is the expert in CPA. And thank you for your explanation. I just wanted to thank you for that.
Counselor Rivera, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I guess what I would say is I thank you for the context, and I thank City Solicitor Degnan for her input and the research that she put in. But I think for me, because it's been done before, where we have gone through certain places and we come to find out later on that it wasn't necessarily that process, I would be more rest assured if we actually had a letter from the DOR saying that reusing the same language that we, or the same process that we used in the past, is okay to use now. Because there is a reason why the judge literally denied it. Like, if the judge would have agreed in any way, facet, or form, they wouldn't have denied it. So I to all respect to City Solicitor Degnan, which I have a lot of respect for, but ultimately to me, I would want to have an actual letter or something saying from the DOR that yes, it's okay to move forward with the same process that we used before. Because technically in the court of law, the ruling right now is not that. Yes, the research was done and they came up with a different opinion, but in the court of law, that was not the ruling. So to me, that's the piece. And then the second thing I would add is that here we're talking about the people have the right to go back and vote on whether or not they want to rescind, but the people also have the right to go back and vote if they want to increase the number up to 3, right, or up to 2, because right now it's at 1.5. If we're going to be equitable and fair across the board, then it has to be a way where you can swing up or you can swing down, not just swinging down, because then it's not fair, right? You're only putting people in a position where they either can vote to cut it or not to vote for, just to keep it the same overall. There's 2 sides to the coin. Right now it feels like we're only pushing one side. Just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Counselor Anderson Burgos.
Through the chair to Counselor McGrath Smith, what I recall, that if it goes down to 1.0, the person that manages the CPA, we wouldn't be able to afford to have her or him on board. Am I correct when I say that? Because I remember that was one of the issues that was on the topic of that conversation, that we wouldn't have enough money to cover that salary, which is important.
In the initial conversation, it was to lower it down to 0.5. Certainly, if we lower it 0.5, there's no way you could afford an administrative assistant to do any of the work. At 1%, it's possible, but very tight, because the CPA legislation says you cannot use beyond 10% in administrative fees, which includes all of the things that we're doing in terms of Zoom hosting, and also our assistant who's doing all of the work to not just run the meetings, but it's really a lot of invoicing. She's writing the contracts for our committee so that our city solicitor doesn't need to, right? So there's a lot of work that would have to be tasked out if we weren't able to, if the admin budget gets limited.
Okay, so one other, through the chair to City Clerk, how much time do we have actually to have this on the ballot? Like from this point on, like how much time do we have in our hands?
You'd have to have it done 35 days prior to the November election.
Oh, so, okay, so we definitely have time. So then my recommendation would be to table so that we can get some of Councilor Rivera's questions answered.
Madam Chair?
I'm making that motion, and I think that's a fair motion because I promise, I still have the floor. So, because I did promise, and I don't like breaking a promise, that I would vote to have this on the ballot, but I want to make sure that everyone in this room has all their answers, all their questions answered so that we can move forward. I don't have an issue with it, but I'd like Councilor Rivera's questions answered so that he feels comfortable making that vote. So it's a solid, all of us making a solid yes.
Councilor Bacon.
That's okay. I'll defer to whoever else wants to speak.
Okay, so, all right, Councilor Devine, I'm gonna start keeping track if everyone's speaking more than 3 times, because we're getting there, guys, we're getting there. This is why we have committee meetings.
Committee already voted 5-0 to put it out. So now does this mean that we go back and give it leave to withdraw, give it tabled? What do we do?
So,
Reconsider?
I say on the motion.
okay, so the motion that's on the floor right now was for to pass the first reading. We did that.
And I explained it, so we passed the second reading.
Pass the second reading. So then we are under discussion. Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, I have no problem tabling this. I think you yourself have said, though, go to the committee meetings. I think you said that more than once to persons on this side of the aisle. I mean, it's got to be fair for everybody.
I believe I already said that tonight.
It's fair for everybody. We all got to go to committee meeting. Now, I have no problem whatsoever if my friend wants to table this. I'll second the table. But I mean, we got to take a vote at some point. I would say at the first meeting in March, would that be enough time for the parties to get all their questions answered? I would think it would be. So I'll have no problem with that. I would say, and there's no rush, but we got to take a vote on this.
Absolutely.
We can table it right here, so we don't have to refer it back. You can get your questions answered on your own. Do your own due diligence, right? Get all your questions answered, and then come back to ready to take a vote in whenever it is, in a month or whatever it is, in the first meeting in March.
I'm seeing lots of heads nodding.
Is that fair?
My head's not nodding, Madam President.
All right, no problem.
If I could explain why it's not nodding?
Absolutely. Councilor Jordan.
I'm totally on board. If there was some open, legit question, I would say send it back, table, all that. I totally get that. That question was asked. And I specifically, and Kathy addressed it point blank, answered that specific question, said I did all the research. The DOR approved the language the first time, and I addressed it, and I'm approving it this time. I feel totally comfortable. You're good. So the committee did what the committee does, and we voted in favor. Now, if there's other questions, fine. But by the way, we've been discussing this for almost a year, if not longer. So this is hardly, coming out of a rocket ship through the process here. So I don't think there's any open. I don't think there's any open questions to be.
Well, I'm going to second the motion.
On the motion.
I'm going to second the motion on the table.
So
thank you.
A motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
No.
All right, I think we should do a roll call vote.
Yeah, roll call vote.
Or show of hands.
vote.
Sure.
Roll call vote.
No, I like roll call.
We'll do a roll call vote. Councilor, City Clerk, please.
Jordan?
No.
McGrath Smith?
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti?
Yes.
Ocasio?
You got to say yes or no.
Is that enough? Shaking her head.
No.
Israel Rivera?
Yes.
Jenny Rivera?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Bacon?
No.
Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
Bartley?
Yes.
Devine?
Yes.
Givner?
Yes.
Graney?
No.
9 yeas, 4 nays.
So with that, the motion's been tabled. Please watch the committee meetings, everyone. Everyone. Thank you.
Item 20.
Item 20, the Committee on Finance, to whom was referred an order that all city departments work towards creating digital access to all their forms, permits, and licenses to streamline access and reduce paperwork. Send a copy to all department heads and request an update to the Finance Committee with any expenses we would acquire in order to make this transition happen. Recommended that the order's been complied with. Counselor Devine.
Motion to pass the first reading.
Oh, you don't need to do that this time.
I'm sorry?
We don't have to do that this time because it's complied with.
Okay.
You want to package some of these, madam?
I'm open to the will of the body. Is there a motion?
Well, whatever the will of
We're on
God is.
20. Let's just do 20.
Okay, we'll just do,
You can package the next one.
we'll package the next one. We'll do item 20. Go ahead, Counselor Devine.
Okay. This was a request from Councilor Maldonado Velez, and the committee voted to send it to the mayor. And I believe that the city clerk's office is already taking care of some of that. So that's why it's been complied with. Simple.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other discussion or comments? Motion's been made and seconded that the order is complied with. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. I'll entertain a motion to take something as a package.
Motion to take up 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25 as a package.
For a second? All right, all those in favor? Aye.
And then just a brief.
And I'll read them, yeah. Any opposed? So moved. Item 20 is the Committee on Finance, an order that all city nope, I just read that one, sorry. The Committee on Finance, to whom was referred an order that the City Council work with the Law Department on identifying the criteria for the expenditure of community impact funding. Recommend that the order has been complied with. Item 22, the Committee on Finance, to whom was referred an order in light of the recent announcement of Holyoke's allocation from the state of nearly $500,000 in tax appropriation for infrastructure. The mayor and DPW superintendent provide a plan on how to use funds for the fiscal year. Recommend the order has been complied with. 23, the Committee on Finance, to whom an order was referred from Mass DOT regarding fair share apportionment for 24, complied with. And 24, the Committee on Finance, to whom was referred an order that the Holyoke Police Department come into finance, elaborate on what is done with money that is seized or forfeited due to arrests or drug busts. And item number 25, that the Committee on Finance, to whom the Finance Committee review the fiscal year 2022 budget impact, as well as school building financial analysis impact of the assessor's decision to lower the Holyoke Mall's assessment by an additional $36 million the day after the council's February 15th vote to approve spending of $475,000 on a feasibility study for a new middle school. Recommend the order's been complied with. Counselor Devine.
Motion that the passage,
Oh, you don't have to do that.
first reading.
You don't have to do that.
Okay, so
Complied with, you don't have to do that.
we can, I just want to know, we can approve the committee report, but there were things that I was going to say. So it's up to the people
No,
if
you
I.
can still give an update.
Okay. Sure.
You definitely should. It's
All right.
just more of like you don't have to do the
Right.
first reading.
Okay.
So you can adopt the committee report as a motion, right?
Okay, let me just go back to my spot here. Okay. I think the one that I'm thinking of is the one from Councilor Rivera.
Oh, you're
Is that the one that's next?
Yep, 21. Yep.
Yeah. And let's see. I have that, you had said there was already certain mechanisms in place, spoke with the Office of Planning and Development and the Law Department, and you felt that the order was complied with.
Yes, I spoke with Aaron and the City Solicitor Ball around some of the issues and some of the topics, and they filled me in some of the gaps where for me they were erased.
Yeah.
I should have reached out to them ahead of time before filing the order. I learned the hard way that you should check in with some department
Yeah,
heads
no problem.
before you actually file an order. But but
So that's
Councilor
the-
Jordan did bring up some good questions too that I think he might file later on. So that's pretty much it for me. I'm okay with it being complied with.
All right.
So,
Keep going, 22.
Keep going to 22.
Okay,
No, that,
is that the,
Okay. No, I didn't do nothing.
is this the order from Counselor Jordan? I can read, just tell me if that's what you're talking about.
No, this is Bartley.
no, so we're on item 22.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
Bartley's
you-
order. That's Bartley's order.
Okay. Item 22. Go ahead. Do you want to give an update?
You want me to read the order?
No, I already read it.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
And my understanding is that this is, Carl is here, it's added to Chapter 90 funds, and that Jeff was going to email people the roads that were going to be done. And the mayor is going to try to stretch the road work in the future, and he can't do Lincoln Street because the utilities are being done up there. So that's kind of about it.
Thank you. We can go to the next one.
And which
23
one
is
that now that
with that. So,
23 is
20.
actual letter, so you can move on from
yeah.
Thank you so much. So we did counsel, let's see,
And 24 is the
20,
forfeiture.
excuse me, Madam Chairman, Madam President.
Yep, go ahead.
21, Committee on Finance, who was referred in order, identifying the criteria for expenditures. Is that the one that Council
Yep.
Rivera had?
Yep.
Okay. And then we have, let's see, we got that one. And then we have, this one here was, if I have the number right,
This is for the Hoyok Mall assessment.
yep.
Or if I had-
And we did 24.
No, we haven't done 24
That's what I
yet.
didn't think so.
Okay, sorry. That's my
Committee
bad.
on Finance, okay. Council Rivera, I believe that was his order, and he's not here.
Yeah, forfeiture for drug arrests, and then the other one's the mall. So those are the last two. I think Kevin.
Those are the last two for an update.
Well, I don't want to take them out of order unless you ask me to, because Council Rivera is the one who's got to answer one of them.
Okay. Well, I mean, since we took them all as a package, if you want to give the update on 25, that's great.
Okay. And that was the one from Councilor, I believe, Jordan, Puello, and Vacan. And this was done in March 1st of 2022. And so that's why we said it was complied with. If Councilor Jordan or Councilor Vacan want to add to that,
Anything
go right ahead.
All set.
on the motion? Okay. So those are, is there anything you want to add for the update on item 24?
Yeah.
Councilor Sullivan.
Thank you. We did have a nice presentation by the chief, and I've got to say, he was asked to elaborate on what was done with the money, but no dollar amounts was given to us as to what went into each bucket. Some money was spent on overtime, some was on ammunition, some was on this, but never how much. Just for the rest of the council, several years ago, we went through this also. And there was something in the neighborhood of $900,000 in that account. Now, we were told at this meeting there was only $150,000 in there. So I think while the order itself has been complied with, I'd like to see this either tabled or come back for more information, one way or the other. It's too big a dollar number that's gone. Also, we know we have other things coming up before us where we'll be looking for some cash. So I'd like to see this just either sent back to committee or tabled.
Councilor Devine.
Yeah, before you send it back to committee, I just want to tell you that Council Rivera did want to file another order, and I think he's done that for our next meeting, to give a 5-year breakdown to the accounts that he's asked for. So that may answer your question rather than tabling it. And my notes do say that the Holyoke Police Department has money for that. Some of it's gone to federal forfeiture, some of it's gone to state, and it's used to further the drug operations and trainings. So I think to keep this order complied with and let Councilor Rivera's order stand, you might get a lot more information that you
Yeah,
need.
just to confirm, it's item 51 on tonight's agenda that
Is that his,
Councilor Rivera filed as a follow-up to that.
so maybe
Okay,
you can
I think
amend
I've made my
something.
point. so
Okay.
fine.
Yeah, so
Okay.
maybe you can amend something on that.
Councilor Rivera?
Just to kind of expand on that, I mean, I'm with Mike if he wants to keep it tabled, but for me, I feel like I filed another order that'll be able to answer some of the questions that I had after the fact, because I was told that it's kind of a different question, so I might as well file another order. So I did that. But I think that some of the things that came out of that when they presented, I have to take it at face value, right? Because he's our public servant and our public administrator, and I have to trust that he's giving us the information that we need. But for me, one of the major points is that I need to kind of see the line item breakdown, and the fact that we don't have a line item breakdown, or they don't even come to us on a yearly basis to present any of that, is wild to me, right? Because I don't know what they've had this account for many years, and we don't know how much money has been spent for many years out of this account. We don't know where it's going. We don't know how they're allocating it. We don't know if the overtime only goes to specific officers. We don't know that. We're not managing it. It's not in our books. And then we also don't know how much money we could have saved on equipment and different things that we pay for out of city tax dollars that could have been paid for out of that stuff. That's one of the reasons why I filed it, and then I think that a lot of that will come out of the next order that I filed. But thank you again for entertaining it and bringing it forward, and thank you, Councilor Sullivan, for the questions and the things you brought up too.
Thank you. Not seeing any other discussion, so the motion has made that these are all complied with. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you, finance team. I believe that was the last one. Moving on to development and government relations. Item 26. The Committee on Development and Government Relations order that the City Council approve the resolution for the Certified Housing Development Incentive Program, known as HDIP, project for including a local tax increment exemption agreement with Rights Block LLC for the redevelopment of 106 to 120 High Street into downtown market rate housing. Recommended that the order be adopted. Councilor Givner.
Thank you, Madam President. So for this item, we had Aaron Vega and John Dijak and Vadim Tolchinsky from Right LLC to talk a little bit about the project and what they had in mind. It was recommended that this be adopted unanimously because, as we all know, we need housing and development in Holyoke. So also, Vadim has other projects in the city that are going well, and it's a great investment in our community. And this the TIF really helps them do like a larger project this time than they've done before. So the presentation was great. It was well attended, and yeah, that's what I have on that.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other comments, questions?
Well, just
Councilor
very
Bartley?
briefly, so I would just say that, so the motion would be to receive and adopt the committee report and to grant the, whatever you call it, HDIP. So that'd be the motion, first of all.
Second.
And then under discussion, the petitioner, I think, did a pretty good job. He and his partner were, one was present on Zoom, one was in person, and they've invested a fair amount of money. If you're not familiar with the building, it's just back up High Street on the right-hand side of the road. I've walked around that building several times. It seems like it's going to be a really nice addition to that end of High Street. I think there might be a restaurant opening up in the next week or so, and I'm pretty sure we all got an email on that too, if I remember right. So the thing is, that this is going to take more than a minute to see any units that come to fruition. But the good news is that 16 of the 19 units are going to be market rate, and then 3 of the units are going to be, maybe handicap of housing or affordable, whatever it is. It's going to be a nice feature for for downtown residential. And coupled with some of the things we did relative to that end of Lyman Street and High Street. These are some activity there, and so hopeful that we can have them as an anchor and maybe expand upon it. Also, I think, as the chair pointed out, the petitioner is already invested in the city, and that's a positive. And certainly, when I asked questions, he was very enthusiastic about the city and seems like he wants to go further. So I think that was an excellent point the chair raised. I think this is, and this is because this is real technical stuff. I'll just be super brief on this. It's when it comes to fruition, it's the tax break is on the new growth, right? So, and then it's scaled down over 5 years once they get it going. So ultimately, I think it's just a win certainly for the developer, but I think it's a win for the city and for the overall tax base. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Anyone else have anything they'd like to add? Councilor Jordan?
Yeah, just briefly, I am voting for this tonight. I am going to support it, and I do appreciate the work that's going on here. I do think, though, a statement of gratitude to the taxpayers is definitely owed of Holyoke. I just want people to appreciate when we do these, you're basically saying everybody else chip in more so that somebody can get a break on their taxes as they do a redevelopment of this nature. If you're a citizen and you want to fix the roof or replace the windows in your house, or you want to put new siding on your house, I can't come down here and say, hey, can I have reduced taxes for 5 years? It doesn't work that way. It's quite the opposite. It's, in fact, if anything, the assessor will be up to your house and say, we want more because your house is a lot nicer looking. And so I do want, it's very important that we have the follow-up on all of these, quite frankly, gifts that we get for development. We're doing it because some of these buildings have been a challenge to get back on the rolls, and that's why we do need to embrace these redevelopment things, and that's why I am voting for it. But this particular property, we have made some serious investments, not only tonight, but on CPA. This was an example of the first time, second time, that we actually gave money to a private entity. And I believe we paid $150,000 out of CPA funds to do windows at this particular property. And so when citizens, the $38 that was referenced earlier, are paying out, can you afford new windows at your house? Well, my taxes just went up $300. I can't afford new windows on my house. You're paying to have new windows down at the right block. So I just hope OPED and the other folks follow up on these projects that we're taking when all the citizens are passing the hat and they're putting $38 in it each, and sometimes, like myself, I'm putting $120 into it for CPA, that there's definite follow-up that all these things happen. But I just feel citizens through their city council are making major contributions. Sometimes it doesn't get a lot of fanfare, but really the thanks and the gratitude goes to the average taxpayer in Holyoke. And they deserve a pat on the back because what you're doing through these votes is investing back in your downtown. It's a good thing. I'm proud to support it. But it's certainly not without sacrifice on the backs of the average citizen. And so I'm sure the recipient, he's a good person. These investors are good people. I've been very impressed with them. I'm sure they appreciate it. But we need to make sure all these commitments come through because John Q. Taxpayer is making serious investments here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Anderson Burgos.
Thank you, Madam President. Born and raised here, I say that 100 times and I'll say it 100 times over. Born and raised here, I remember before the mall went up, and High Street was the place to be. High Street was where every family in Holyoke went to. It was our mall. The mall came in, and taxpayers, we all relied on the taxes coming from the mall. So we're not sitting here ignoring the fact that the mall is seeing its challenges. So I am pretty sure that a lot of the taxpayers that they know that when they're paying into that CPA, that some of that money that went into that investment is reimagining and rebuilding this corridor, bringing back Holyoke to its finest, bringing back this part of Holyoke that everyone turned their back and forgot about. I never did, but I know that this is a very good investment, and I am proud to be behind that CPA vote when we said, yes, let's give them the money, let's help them out, because in the long run, it's going to bring back Holyoke to its glory. Thank you.
Councilor Bacon.
Thank you, Madam President. I will be voting in favor of this, but I think it is important to say that our voters deserve a right to vote on their taxes on the few occasions that they are able to, the CPA being about the only one where they will have or could have that opportunity, because what they're doing is calling me being worried about whether they can stay in their house.
So totally appreciate that. Just want to make sure we're focused on
Just following up on the other comment, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, great, awesome. Sounds like we are good. So the motion has been made. Oh, I'm sorry. Who did I miss? Sorry, Councilor Bartley.
I just want to just clarify one point. So this is, because it's going to come up again, because Mr. Vega said we're going to get another one of these soon. So I don't want to let it lay out there. This is a tax relief on the increased value above what's going on now. This is not a tax break or a tax giveaway. So it's a 5-year sliding scale tax relief on the new investment. As I said, they've already put in over $1 million of their own money, private money, for a building that is, not exactly in the best shape. I agree that they got the CPA funding. I did vote for that, but that was a hard vote, and just like the other one was a hard vote for the private funding for historic. But I think with that being said, I think the project's going to be good for the city's taxpayers because it's going to expand our tax base, and I just think that's important to remember.
Thank you, Councilor Greeny.
I'd like to move the question under Rules of Order, please.
Great. Alrighty. So the motion to receive and adopt the committee report and vote to approve the resolution for the HDIP project. The clerk will call the roll.
Jordan?
Yes.
McGrath Smith?
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti?
Yes.
Ocasio?
Yes.
Israel Rivera?
Yes.
Jenny Rivera?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
Bartley?
Yes.
Devine?
Yes.
Givner?
Yes.
Graney?
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
With that, you've approved item 26. We'll go to
Motion
item.
to suspend the rules and take up 27 and 28 as a package.
Second.
Motion to suspend the rules and take up item 27 and 28 as a package. Now, item 27 is the Committee on DGR that we declare 37 Brown Avenue as surplus property available for disposition. The property was acquired via judgment tax lien foreclosure in 2022. It is 0.14 acres lot with a single-family home constructed, zoned R2, an assessed value of $219,900. Recommend that the order be adopted. Councilor Givner.
Well, I got 28 as well.
Oh, sorry, you're right. Thank you. And then 28 is the Committee on Development Government Relations declare 432 Hillside Avenue as surplus property available for disposition. It was acquired via tax lien foreclosure in 2023. 0.17 acre lot with a single family home constructed, zoned R1A with an assessed value of $175,600. Recommend the order be adopted. Councilor Givner.
Thank you, Madam President. So both of these were recommended unanimously to be adopted to do a tax title transfer to surplus property. apparently they've been sitting vacant for quite some time, and this is a way to get them moving, sold, and back on the tax rolls.
And is that good for both of your updates?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
very similar.
Okay. So the motion's been made to accept the report from the committee and approve these under discussion.
I'll second it.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Thought it was second. Under discussion? Any other comments? Okay. Seeing none. The clerk will call the roll, and if you vote in favor, you're voting to approve items 26 and 27. 27 and 28.
Jordan?
Yes.
McGrath Smith?
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti?
Yes.
Ocasio?
Yes.
Israel Rivera? Jenny Rivera?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
Bartley?
Yes.
Devine?
Yes.
Givner?
Yes.
Graney? Unanimous vote.
Great. With that, you've passed both orders. Good job, DGR. On to charter and rules.
Motion to take up item 29?
Motion has been made and seconded to take up item 29. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So item 29 is the Committee on Charter and Rules, to whom the order was referred, that the city clerk provide information outlining the procedures for submitting changes to MuniCode and ensuring accurate publication of the city charter. Councilor McGrath Smith.
First off, I want to thank the clerk for coming in and also Solicitor Bissonnette for weighing in several times over the course of the Charter and Rules Committee meeting. We got some really good information. So on this item, we learned that it's been quite a process over the last decade trying to figure out how we were going to actually codify our charter and where and how to do it. Back in 2016, funding was stopped for the software they used at that time, and it was done in-house. The concept was that we would be able to do it ourselves. There's some messiness in that transition where some changes did not occur. And there's even some work back even to 1993 where there are significant shifts that happen in the charter where changes were then not actually, they weren't recorded correctly or at all. And so when we spoke with the city solicitor, we discussed the need to update it. And there's a number of reasons for why it happened, but at this point, we just need to figure out how to move forward. So ARPA funding has been secured for an expanded program. So Civic Plus acquired MuniCode in 2021, and ARPA funding will be used in order to expand what we have purchased. So at one point when we were working with MuniCode, we were only updating legal forms twice a year. 2 years ago, that shifted to 4 times a year. And even that means that we're making changes here in this body and then things aren't actually occurring as they should, except for when they're updated. So the idea is, how can we get it to be updated at a more automatic basis? Purchasing this software, and sounds like the clerk as well as our assistant, the city council, is now being trained in this new software. Sort of an expanded version of MuniCode and some other legislative tracking software surrounding that will allow for more automatic shifts to occur, where we will make changes and then it will automatically update versus having to wait for a quarterly or biannual change. I think the other main piece is that we talked to legal about a list that we want of just needed changes that they're aware need to be made. And a great question was asked around if someone in this body is aware of something that they know was changed at one point but is not accurately recorded in the charter, the best thing to do is to email the clerk and identify the issue so that we can start tackling those issues as we move forward.
Thank you, Counselor. Does anyone have anything they'd like to add? Okay. So the motion has been made and seconded that the order has been complied with. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved.
Motion to take up item 30.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Item 30, the Committee on Charter and Rules to whom an order was referred that Rule 4, City Clerk, Section A, in case of the absence of the city clerk, a clerk pro tempore shall be appointed. This called the words clerk pro tempore shall be deleted and changed to assistant city clerk, second assistant city clerk, or administrative assistant to the city council shall resume the duties of the city clerk when the city clerk is absent. This was recommended that the order be adopted and amended by deleting administrative assistant to the city council and replacing it with or other qualified individual. Councilor McGrath-Smith.
This was an order that came through as a request from the clerk's office to just clarify what we meant by clerk pro tempore to mean those specific offices, those specific roles in their office. There was a discussion around whether or not it made sense to have the assistant city clerk in effectively wearing two hats. And in the end, the committee decided to recommend amending it simply to include or other qualified individual if in fact there's no other person from the clerk's office that can serve in that capacity.
Thank you.
I mean, that's what pro tempore is.
That's what we talked about last night, correct?
No, I watched it. I mean, why are we doing this? I mean,
Councilor,
pro tempore is actually just for the time being. It's a Latin phrase. I mean, it kind of makes it sound kind of cool, actually. I don't know why. I don't know why you'd want to change it, but hey, whatever.
Well, this is something that we discussed last night. So, any other comments, questions, anything? Okay. So, is that a motion that the order be adopted and amend the deleting administrative assistant to the city council and replacing with or other qualified individual?
Yes, that's the motion.
Second. Under discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll be the little no.
Okay, so moved. Passes 12-1. Thank you. Item 33. The Committee on Charter and Rules, to whom was referred an order that the City Council make a rule change to be added to the meeting section of our first meeting. 2 meetings, Section A. Regular meetings of the City Council shall be held on the first and third Tuesday of each month at 7:00 p.m. sharp. All city councilors are to be in the city council chambers or present by remote access by 6:45 p.m. B, no meeting of the city council shall go beyond 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time unless upon a motion of any city councilor, the meeting is extended for a period of time stated in the motion, and so long as the motion is unanimously approved by all members present. If a motion to extend the meeting past 10 p.m. is not approved, all remaining items shall be continued until the next regularly scheduled city council meeting. If items are continued to the next meeting pursuant to this rule, those items shall appear at the beginning of the next agenda. B, the president or committee chairs can cancel meetings due to inclement weather. So this was recommended that the order be adopted and amended to remove the reference of Eastern Standard Time and replace unanimously approved by all with approved by a 2/3 majority of. Councilor McGrath-Smith.
Was there a motion to take this off the table?
We technically don't need to.
Yeah, I don't need.
Okay, all right. So this was a conversation I think there's been a building consensus over time, over several council meetings and subcommittee meetings, to establish a cap but allow an ability to ask for an extension and then a vote based on that. The main shift here was not wanting one person to have the ability to stop a meeting and move it from going forward, but to instead shift it to a 2/3 majority vote being required to extend it versus a unanimous vote.
Councilor Bacon, and then
Thank
Councilor
you,
Jordan.
Madam President. I will be supporting this language, even though I'm a proclaimed evening person. But I would note that the language will have to be posted on every agenda that states the language that's put forth to the meeting so that we're in compliance with the open meeting law. So I'm sure our administrative assistant will attend to that and could perhaps change the wording slightly, just so that if we do end at 10 and there are remaining items, people who have interest in the items will know what will happen with them.
Thank you, Councilor Bacon. Councilor Jordan, did you have your?
Just briefly, I did also want to say I do support this as well. I thought the committee did good work on this, and I believe we're referring here, I just wanted one clarifying point. Was it our understanding this is just for the regular meetings, right? As
Correct.
opposed to the committee meetings. I just wanted to clarify that so people are aware of that. Thank you.
Councilor Graney? I know, huh? I like it. Yeah.
Point of order. Does this go into effect now?
No,
because it's not
I would
posted.
say it's not
We're not in-
posted.
Next meeting.
We would not be in compliance with the open.
Y'all are trying to keep me on my toes here. Okay, anyone else? Comments, questions? Okay. So
On adoption of the committee report.
would that be a roll call? Is that a roll call vote?
There's still one left.
We didn't do a roll call on the last one.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything. So that the order be adopted and amended to remove Eastern Standard Time and replace unanimously approved by all with approved by a 2/3 majority of all those in favor.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Good.
Look at us, guys.
Isn't that great?
Look at us. Okay. Is there a motion, just for, in case anyone's confused, items 31 and 32 remained in committee, in case the numbers were messing you up. That's,
It's a trick.
yeah. Yes.
We're just testing to see if you were reading.
Just wanted to see if you watched the meeting last night. And 35 stayed in committee as well, so, okay.
The motion to take up 34.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Item 34, the Committee on Charter and Rules, to whom was referred an order that Rule 3 meetings, 3A, be changed to reflect that city council meetings shall be held on the first and third Tuesday of the month at 6:30 p.m., a change from 7 p.m. Recommended that the order be given a leave to withdraw. Councilor McGrath-Smith?
The discussion here centered around, let's change one variable at a time and see if we have solved the problem. I think all of us hit consensus that we wanted to make sure that we are getting a little more efficient with our meetings. And both of, the previous order and this one, very much we're trying to address it, but from two different possible angles. There were some other potential complications to changing it to 6:30, especially around having executive sessions, if we had to have one beforehand, versus if we change it to 6:30, would we then have to shift executive session to after a regular meeting? And the effect of that, especially if we're often asking city employees to be able to attend executive session if it doesn't start until 10 o'clock at night. So that was where our conversation centered, and really just wanting to say, let's take the first one out of committee and let's see if the 10 p.m. cap works, gets us to where we need to be. If it doesn't, then we'll explore other options.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Bartley?
I'm going to oppose this because, first off, you can have a special meeting for executive session anytime. So we're not married to having executive session pre or post a regular committee session. That's just what's happened. But we can have executive session whenever we want through a special meeting. So to argue is going to start late. First off, we're never going to do it at 10 o'clock. I don't even know how that one came up. And then we've had so many meetings here where it just goes on and on and on. We already have committee meetings at 6:30. Pete had them at 6. Wonderful. Somehow we all made it there on time. And we got out of there in a better fashion. So I don't see why we can't have the meetings earlier. I obviously see where this is going, but to argue it's going to have anything to do with executive session, that doesn't add up. So I would just say, hopefully somebody will bring it back up again, and we can have a little more frank debate. But I did watch the whole meeting, because I know that question gets asked about a lot. So I was right there, and I watched the entire meeting, so I saw all the arguments for it. But I
Great.
do not support that vote.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, so recommended that the order be given leave to withdraw. Was there a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay.
Oh, I won't be alone then. I'll be another no then. Okay.
All right,
That was
sounds
all
good.
alone then.
That passed 11 to 2.
Yeah, voice vote. You don't have to record that. Just
Okay, great. Just wanted. Whew. All right. Now we're moving on to motions, orders, and resolutions. And as Todd used to say,
Oh, well, you don't.
it's going to committee.
I'm surprised.
Please don't debate it, because we're doing so good, guys. We're doing so good on time here. Item 36, Councilor Givner, with community support that all one-way streets include a stop sign on both even and odd sides with the street's corner on approach to a stop. Ordinance copy to DPW
And engineering?
and engineer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Item 37, filed by Councilor Givner with community support, order that city departments develop an online portal to collect information from property and business owners. Our current postal mail approach slows the collection of needed data, creates data entry work for city employees, and has the potential to get lost or missed by those it is sent and or returned to. First departments that come to mind are Building, Board of Health, and Board of Assessors. This will be especially useful as the city continues to become more efficient in the collection and use of property information. It says here, receive, adopt, and send to the mayor.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. 38, filed by Councilor Givner, ordered that the city council approve the resolution for a certified housing development incentive program project, including a local tax increment exemption agreement with Open Square Properties for new downtown market rate housing development at 4 Open Square Way. Send to DGR. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Any
DGNR,
opposed?
correct?
Yes, correct. Oh, the next one's a duplicate. Nothing to see here, folks.
Leave
Do I,
to withdraw.
do I
Leave
still
to
have to
withdraw,
refer it?
39.
Do I got it?
Second.
Great. Wait, what just happened?
Leave to withdraw.
Leave to
Leave withdraw. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You guys are quick. Item 40, Councilor Givner, per constituent request, order that the handicap placard be removed from 277 Walnut Street as resident has moved. Ordinance?
Ordinance.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. 41, filed by Councilor Givner, per constituent request, order that a stop sign be added on the left side of Pine Street when approaching Cabot. It says ordinance with a copy to DPW
And engineering?
and engineer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. 42, filed by Councilor Givner, with community support, order that a streetlight be installed between 31 and 33 O'Connor Ave on the odd side of the street. There have been multiple vehicle break-ins here. Light would provide pedestrian safety and deter vehicle break-ins. Send to ordinance and a copy to
That's
DPW?
HG&E.
HG&E does those.
Okay, so the motion's been made to send to HG&E. Councilor Bartley?
Yeah, thanks. So in order to do this, you need to have a poll petition to the gas and electric, but you wouldn't need it if the private property owner would allow an easement to happen for a pole to be placed in there. So is that something that the private property owner wants to do?
Well,
I mean, it wasn't asked by that property owner, it was asked by other property owners.
Yeah, so thank you for that. I would say that, I would say that you gotta have a poll petition to the G&E, and because there isn't a poll over there, so if you wanna make this faster, and the private owner will allow for a poll to be there, it can be done next week. If you have a poll petition, it's gonna take several months. So I'm gonna suggest that we table this here right now, just for the Ward 4 Council to get some more intel, and then we'll go from there. That's my 2 cents.
So there's
Or
a,
not. Whatever.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just playing catch up. Counselor Bacon?
I was just wondering if there was an existing pole.
There is
in the
not.
near the location.
There is not.
There's a pole near the location, but there's not a pole where
Not
they would
close
want a
enough.
light on that corner.
Okay.
Yeah, and the property owners have garages and driveways, so it's the people who are parking on the street who are having a problem.
Okay.
Okay, so the
If there's a pole.
There's a pole, but it's not right there. Yeah.
so copy to HG&E.
No, you send it to the pulpit. You don't need to send it.
Oh, you said lay this on the table? What is the
Well,
motion?
That was just my 2 cents.
Okay.
I got a second on that, so I take it as dead. But so I would say if you want it done fast, you can table it and you can ask the homeowner if they allow the pole to go up. If that's no good, fine. Then we'll just have a poll petition to HG&E and they'll figure it out and take about 3 months.
So, Madam President, just a question. So, would this not need to go to any committee if it's
Bingo.
a petition? Thank you.
Great. Look at that.
Well, I
So
don't know what they want to do. Do you want to
I don't either.
figure it out, or do you want to? Well,
Leave to withdraw.
no, I'm sorry. Come back, plain.
Sure.
So, right, I said it too fast, so that's my fault. So if you want to have it done the fast way, try to talk to the homeowner and allow them to grant an easement for a pole there, that it can be done in about a week. If that's not cool, fine, you can just have a poll petition right to G&E. I simply said to table it now to allow time for the Ward 4 counselor to talk to the property owner to see if that's good, if they'll put a pole there. And the G&E would work with them. So that's.
Okay, I totally understood what you said the first time. Does it not need to go to a committee if either of those things happen?
True.
Okay, so that doesn't need to be tabled because it has nothing to do with city council. I just have to talk to the property owner or get a petition, correct?
Well, but we can send the petition. It has to come from here.
It has to come from here.
Yeah,
So it does have to come from this body.
Yeah, we'll just approve it. Do it now. Why doesn't it have to go to committee? We'll just ask for a poll petition to G&E.
Sounds like a motion to table.
Do it right now.
It sounds like.
all right, so there's a motion to table. Is there a second?
Pole up.
All right, the motion has been made and seconded to table item 42 to allow for the ward counselor to do some more work and figure out what is the best way to move this forward quickly. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Okay, item 43, filed by Councilor Jordan, that Charter Sections 19 and 34 be amended and elsewhere as appropriate to allow for all appointments to the Fire Commission and the DPW Commission to be appointed by the mayor, subject to confirmation by the City Council.
Charter and rules.
Send that to Charter and
Yeah, I'd pretty
Rules.
much like to add my name to this, but could I just add this through the chair?
We've passed this about 4 times.
Yeah.
Just through the chair to Kevin. Have you spoke to the mayor about this?
Not yet, no.
Oh.
But there's going to be a lot of horse trading, I'm sure, going on about different city reorg. So I want this one that the council's passed about 4 times to maybe finally make it in the mix of all the other changes that are likely to come. So, it's what does the mayor get? What does the council get? I just want to, for those who are, has been following these discussions, be able to see, there's some of these other older ones lingering out there that we can discuss.
And Councilor Bartley, did you say you want your name on this?
Please.
Been made and seconded to send to Charter and Rules. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Item 44, filed by Councilor Jordan, pursuant to Ordinance Section 12, subject to the approval of the Parks and Recreation Commission, the City Council gives its final approval to name the fountain at Laurel Park the Helen F. Norris Fountain at Laurel Park in honor of 16-year Ward 3 City Councilor Helen F. Norris and her very meaningful and accomplished service to the city. Also thank Mayors Garcia and Pluta for strongly supporting this naming.
I'd like to have this received, adopted, and referred to the mayor and the Park and Rec Commission.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I just say,
Yeah, of
just
course.
a quick couple things about Helen. Helen served many, many years on this body with extreme distinction. You know, her and I certainly didn't start off as political allies, that's for sure. In fact, everybody, when I first got on the council, certain people who were strong supporters of mine at the time told me, you know, watch out for Helen, she's going to be nothing but trouble, blah, 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 blah. And anything, I over the years became I feel good friends with Helen and became, we came from two different political perspectives, but we often were on the same side of so many political issues. And I really admired her intelligence, her research, her heart for the city. And I just don't think Helen gets enough credit for so many great things that she's done for the city. You know, when you look back and you think about things like the Holyoke acquisition of the Holyoke Dam, Helen does not get enough credit for that. She really, her and another group of citizens really led the effort in the 90s for the acquisition of the dam. When that 40-year license came up at the FERC to take that from Northeast Utilities, she really put on the full court press for us to get that. I'll say, you know, ultimately the federal government gave it back to NU, but boy, it put us on the map with them. And it was only a short couple of years later after that NU thought otherwise and decided that it was time to exit stage left and that Holyoke really deserved these properties. And we were able to get them ultimately at a really good price. Things that you may not even consider today, you wonder, well, how did this all happen? For example, we had tons of lawsuits related to ownership, access rights around the canals. Through the settlement of this license, not only did we get ultimately for the city the 40-year license for the dam, but we got access to the canals. We settled decades and decades and decades of lawsuits over ownership rights, use rights around the canals through this whole settlement process with NU. We got tons of real estate around the city from this deal. And one of them we all talk about and brag about now. Look at Gary Rome, you know, look at this big, you know, project, and now he's doing this, this, and this. That parcel we got in the NU deal that we settled in the 90s. So just tremendous. And Helen, you know, I could go on a number of different things, but that one in particular I wanted to point out. I will also say Helen and I fought on the same side of the issue around the privatization of the sewer system, and her and I were both vociferously opposed to that. And Helen, to her credit, did tremendous research on that, and was really proud to be shoulder to shoulder with her in 2005 when we opposed that. And by the way, not for nothing, almost universally across the board, I sort of feel like, I don't know if you guys ever used to watch the old Johnny Carson shows, but, you know, Carmack, and he would put up the envelope and take the guess. Pretty much everything that we ever said, it turned out to be true as it came out to the rates and everything else. So just want to thank Helen for really a lifetime of helping the city. Why the fountain? The fountain's been really special to her. She was very involved in a restoration project in 1998 regarding Laurel Park and that. And I know Councilor Bartley also subsequently did a lot of great work in terms of under the Morse administration. We got some grants and things in favor of this also. So this will be really special and well-deserved for Helen. So, and it, you know, some counselors, I just think, you know, we've done a lot of different things, and this one here in particular, I think is great that we can do this for her.
Thank you, Counselor. So where would you like?
Just receive, adopt, refer to the mayor.
Receive,
and the
adopt,
Park and
refer
Rec.
to the mayor. Great.
Thank
All
you.
those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. So we have item 45, filed by Councilor Jordan, that DPW please continue making cold patching potholes in the city as a priority until weather warms and a more permanent solution can be used.
Receive, adopt, refer to DPW.
Receive, adopt, refer to DPW. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Filed by item number 46, filed by Councilor McGrath Smith, ordered that members of the Fire Commission come into public safety to discuss the recent issue concerning firefighters obtaining their EMT certifications. Public safety?
Clarification what that's about.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
just briefly.
Yes, I'm sure we can be brief.
Briefly, we've had an issue in the Fire Commission minutes over the last 3 cycles of minutes that we keep having firefighters that get the 2 years to get their EMT license. They get to the 2 years, they have to resign. And it is such a loss to the city where we are paying for this training for them to be able to be firefighters, but then they don't complete the EMT course, or they complete it but do not pass the test that's required for them to have that certification. So I'd love to hear them explain what is their plan for helping folks to kind of, over time, right? You might think, oh, it's 2 years away, and then suddenly it's here. And it's not easy to pass it. So what's the plan to help over time to guide them through that process and then make sure they can pass it so that we can secure them and keep them on the fire department?
Well,
Thank you.
thanks.
Councilor Bacon. Yeah.
If I may. That would be critical to an ambulance service, that the people are strongly competent. You know, helping to pass is one thing, but I mean, it would have to be a strong level of competence for us to be running our ambulance service. So it sounds like a very important order.
So motion is send to public safety?
Mm-hmm.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, Councilor,
I'm not opposed, but I would have thought that it would have gone to DGR instead of public safety. Would that make sense?
okay.
Either one.
So send to public safety. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Interesting.
Public safety.
Oh, it's going to public safety.
It is public safety.
It's going to public safety.
We'll lift it.
Okay, so 47, 48, and 49.
All right. So we already did
Motion to go to
47,
50.
48, 49. Motion to take item 50. Filed by Councilor Ocasio, that a handicap sign be placed in front of 799 High Street for Francisco Rivera Chevrolet, placard PL 1770918, expires 4/16/24. Send to ordinance. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Item 51. Filed by Councilor Israel Rivera, order that the Honorable City Council ask the Police Department to provide us with an itemized budget breakdown of dollars received and expended over the last 5 years from the criminal seizure and forfeiture account.
Send to public,
Public
safety.
safety.
Where would you like that,
Oh,
Councilor?
Finance.
Finance.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Item 52, filed by Councilor Bacon, that our legal department sends and provides a copy of the letter notifying Republic Commercial Disposal of our noise ordinance and giving notice to cease emptying dumpsters outside of the allowed time frame. Please provide a copy of the letter for the next City Council meeting.
Motion to receive and adopt and send to the legal department, please.
Motion to receive, adopt, and send to legal. All
Second.
those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Item 53, filed by Councilors Bacon and Bartley, in accordance with City Council Rule 9A. All committees shall be appointed and announced by the president unless otherwise provided for or especially directed by the City Council. Adopted unanimously by the City Council, the City Council direct that the Ward 3 City Councilor be appointed to replace the Ward 5 City Councilor on the DGR Committee. Currently, the Ward 5 City Councilor has been assigned to 3 committees. Most other city councilors have been assigned to 2, and the Ward 3 city councilor has been assigned to 1 committee. This is an unbalanced and unfair assignment, or one councilor has been singled out for a heavier workload than any other councilor. This assignment will restore a fair workload of 2 committees for each councilor. So there's, this says receive and adopt.
Motion to receive and send to the president.
President,
Okay, I have a motion. So let's, for discussion,
so I wanted to amend my motion
okay,
and then make a comment under an amended motion. Please.
okay. So the initial motion was to receive and send to the president. Your amended motion,
My amended motion is that I want to give this order leave to withdraw.
okay,
And the reason that I'm doing that is I just want to say that I appreciate that recently the president and I had initial phone conversations about my workload and unfair committee assignments. And during our conversation on Friday before this meeting, it was indicated that she wished to take my order and this request to the city council under advisement. And so as part of my filing of the original order, I wish to thank Councilor Bartley, who was very generous and gracious to agree to sign on to my order for me. It is rare that someone would be willing to take on a heavier workload to help out a colleague, and it's greatly appreciated by me. But given recent developments, I would note that Councilor Bartley wishes to remove his name from my order at this time. And I would like to note that in my conversation with the president, she verbally agreed that I will no longer be a member of DGR. And so I'm just confirming that at this time. So my motion is to give this, given those things, my motion is to give this leave to withdraw.
okay. So there's, the motion was amended to give leave to withdraw, which was just seconded. Under discussion? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Thank you. Item 54, Councilor Anderson Burgos, ordered that the handicap sign located in front of 184 Sargent Street be removed.
I would say receive and adopt. There should have been an email attached to this.
I think it has to go to ordinance.
It still has to go to
Yeah,
ordinance?
because it's got to get taken out of the ordinance.
Oh, that's right. Yes, so please send to ordinance.
Okay.
Second.
And the email should be sent to ordinance as well,
Okay.
just as proof.
So send to ordinance. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved.
Madam President, I'd
Yes.
like to package 55, 56, 57 in honor of Councilor Bartley, and he has asked to receive and adopt all 3.
Okay, so
Second.
there's a second. So the motion has been made to suspend the rules and take items 55, 56, 57 together as a package and receive. Item 55 is, all of these are filed by Councilor Bartley. Item 55 is that the DPW paint hash marks indicating no parking on the west side of Harrison Ave where it meets Myrtle Street. This is a constituent request. Item 56 is DPW, as practical as possible, paint stop lines and other necessary markings at the intersection of Parento Drive, High Street, South Street, as this intersection is not getting any safer. Item 57 is that the Holyoke City Council issue a proclamation to the family of Merle Hillman, World War II Pearl Harbor hero from the USS California, who was finally laid to rest at St. Jerome Cemetery in a memorial service January 27th, 2024. Motions to receive and adopt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Item 58, filed by Councilor Devine and Rivera. Under City Council rules, please add the following. The new rule: every 2 years after being sworn in, the City Council President shall set the seating arrangements of the City Council. Consideration shall be taken for any legitimate handicap preference. Send to Charter and Rules.
Yep.
Councilor Bacon.
Thank you, Madam President. And I will raise my point of order again that I raised at the last meeting relative to the seating, because if the authority existed in the current rules, we would not be sending this rule, new rule, to Charter and Rules, which, if approved, cannot take effect until the next election, because we can't go back in time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, to charter and rules, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Item 59. Item 15.
Can we suspend the rules to take 59, 60, and 61 as a package?
Do we need to vote? We might need to vote.
These are all just going to finance, right?
Oh, all of them are, not 61? Okay,
We usually do those here.
okay, hold on, we'll do them separate, okay. Item 59, ordered that in accordance with Mass General Law, the City Council hereby accepts the provisions of 2024 Mass DEP Recycling Dividends Sustainable Materials Recovery Program, $9,100, no match, and authorizes the establishment of a fund or other method appropriate for the accounting of the receipts and expenditures associated with said grant, referred to finance. All those in favor, or is there a second?
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Item number 60, filed by Councilor Devine, order that there be hereby appropriated by transfer in fiscal year 24, $90,000, 861, as follows. From firefighter to deputy fire chief, overtime, vacation, personal day buyback, and sick leave incentive buyback. Receive incentive finance, second. And all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Item 61, ordered that, filed by Councilor Devine, ordered that there be and is hereby appropriated the transfer of $37,283.71 as follows. $10,493.16 from sergeants and $26,790.55 to injured on duty. Okay. So the motion is to receive and pass the first reading. Is there a second? Councilor Devine, under discussion?
Bookkeeping.
Motion to pass the second reading. Under discussion.
Yeah, just briefly, I will say though, the numbers keep getting bigger, and they should tell. I don't know if they told Patty the number of people. I think last time it was 14. That's an uptick. So just so we're paying attention, I don't know what becomes the number threshold that we want to have people come into committee and start discussing, but this was starting at like 16, 18, 20, 24. Now we're this is per payroll. Now we're up to 37. I mean, that's an astonishing number now. And the other thing that we need to be mindful of this too is that this drives overtime. He said the number one reason we have so much overtime is we have so many people out injured.
I think you said 12.
So
Thank you, Councilor.
I'm still waiting for when we're going to have these workplace safety policies, meetings, committees. I'm told that we're hiring people and consultants and we're supposedly doing all this stuff. I haven't seen anything yet.
So just to note, I have the sticky note here that says it represents 14 officers.
Thank you. 14, yep.
Councilor Devine.
I was going to say, whoever gets this order in the future, whether it's the city clerk's office, whether it's our administrative assistant, if you can find out what it's at, 10, 11, 12, 14 people, just remember
Yeah, I just
that by the time we have another meeting, it may not be that, maybe more, maybe less.
Right.
So just,
The next page shows the number of people.
Okay.
Not all the names are there.
Gotcha. Just counselor. That could be fun. Our administrative assistant said that on the transfer, the sheet that's attached, it does list all the names out. So just an FYI. So any other discussion? The motion was made to pass the second reading. Made and seconded. The clerk will call the roll.
Jordan?
Yes.
McGrath Smith?
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti?
Yes.
Ocasio?
Yes.
Israel Rivera?
Yes.
Jenny Rivera?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Aiken?
Yes.
Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
Bartley? Devine? Givner?
Yes.
Graney? 12 yeas, unanimous vote.
Thank you. That passed. Just a few late file orders. Late file A, filed by Counselor Devine, ordered that there be a transfer in the fiscal year 24, $850,000. Yes, yes. And to the capital outlay school buildings, sent to finance. And yes, sir.
Yes, in favor of that, but I did want to just point out, item 61 is not on our desks. You know, the one with the names? So, yes,
Oh.
just for future reference, that was if that went to committee, the committee would have seen it, but we don't have a copy of that.
So in the future, the injured on duty ones you'd like to see, just so you have.
Yeah, you give us a nice packet with all the other, that one you should give us, especially if we're voting on it that night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. That good? Okay, great. Appreciate it. So the motion is to send to finance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. B is from Counselor Sullivan, that the DPW director and board members be invited to Development Government Relations Committee to update the council on the status of operations, projects, and initiatives. Send to DGR.
Yep.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. C, filed by Counselor Jordan, ordered that the school department provide the city council with a report on their plan to use the remaining $13 million in ESSER funds by September 30th, 2024. Also provide a report on how the $44 million thus far spent was used.
Joint Committee on City Council and School
Send
Committee.
to
Second.
Joint Committee on School and City Council. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. D is filed by Counselor Jordan, that the Joint Committee on City Council and School Committee review and respond to receivership response from Commissioner Riley and the Holyoke High and District 23-24 District Report Card that was released by Mass DESI. Documents are attached. Sent to Joint Committee on School and City Council. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. And item E, from Mayor Garcia, response to Commissioner Riley's letter on receivership.
Joint Committee also, please.
Joint Committee as well. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Wait, there's one more.
Oh, no.
Thought you had the
F. Oh, maybe I didn't. My bad. Sorry, y'all. No, you're good. It was my copy. Item F, Counselor Devine, ordered that in accordance with Mass General Law, the City Council hereby accepts the provisions of the fiscal year 2024 Shannon Community Safety Initiative for $576,814.28.
Finance.
Perfect.
Finance, and we are going to have a meeting of finance on Monday.
Awesome.
6:30.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. I'll entertain a motion to
adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
10:06.
Look at that, 10:06. Thanks, everyone. Shorten it up next time, people.